can,
So this,
okay.
and if you want to sit in, you can sit right there, because no one can see you.
That's true, I'll just admit. No, I'm working on the lobbyist thing, so I'm gonna do that most of the day, but yeah. We're only 5 years behind, it'll.
My computer says 9. Should we wait? You want to start?
You can start. Just open it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let me see who we have here. Do we have our board members? We have all the board members?
I think you have 4 altogether, including yourself. There may be one more, but you have enough to have 4.
Okay, I can go ahead and get started. Good morning. Welcome to the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology board meeting. Today's date is March 14th. The time is 9 o'clock. I would like to start with the roll call with the board members, please.
Good morning, Board Member Harris here.
Good
This
morning.
is
Board Member Kai Stanton here.
Good morning, Board Member Douglas here.
Good morning.
Board Member
Good morning.
McCormick here.
Good morning. Okay. Do we have any other board members present? Okay, we'll get back to later if they get on the line and I see them there. I would like to do roll call for the staff, please. The staff in the South.
Gary Landry, Executive Director.
Rosa Jackson, Chief Operating Officer. Lauren Gossett, Regulatory Compliance Specialist. Jeannie Huggins, Regulatory Compliance Specialist.
Good morning.
And Christy Harris, Deputy Attorney General.
Pardon, Attorney General again?
Christy Harris.
Oh, okay, good, awesome. Okay, can I have roll call for any of the staff members in the North?
Rodney Moore, Inspector.
Okay. Good morning.
Michelle Finley, Director.
Good morning.
Pamela Fitzgerald, Inspector.
Good morning. Okay, do we have any other board members before I move on to the mission? I see Baltazar connecting.
Brian Baltazar, present.
Good morning. So the mission, we're going to go on to agenda item number B, which is the mission statement. The mission of the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of those that obtain cosmetology-related services through the delivery of quality testing, licensing, inspection, and education services that focus on consumer protection. Agenda item number C is comments from the general public for discussion only. The board will entertain comments from the general public for any item that is or is not published on the agenda and is related to the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology. No action can be taken on this matter unless it is included in an agenda. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes or less. So I know today that we're going to have a lot of comments. So what I would like to do is we would like to, as a board, take some comments during this particular time. And we'll be able to take maybe some comments while we're going through the approval process or the discussion process with our executive director. And then in the end, we would take more comments. So I would like to call for a public comment at this time. Do we have any public comment at this time?
Hi, may I speak?
Yes, go right ahead. Can you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is Sarit Shoshani. I'm a new licensed esthetician. I just graduated from CILV on November. So the program I took was the 600 hours, and I'm in the process of opening my business. I'm just working, and I heard about what's going on. So I just have a question, because in school, we learned everything, like all the machineries. And now I saw in the email, I got an email a few days ago, and I see that now I don't understand. Do I need to get another license? Do I need to go back to school? Do I get a waiver? So that's confusing to me, because all those machines, LED, microcurrent, radio frequency, body cavitation, we learned all that. We were hands-on. So that's a bit confusing to me about my scope of practice.
Okay, thank you for your comment. The executive director will be during this presentation discussing the scope of practice for esthetician, as well as the scope of practice for the advanced esthetician.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next public comment?
Can I comment?
Yes, go right ahead. Can you state your first and last name, please?
My name is Eleanor Palmer. I am currently a cosmetology license. I'm a cosmetologist. I just opened a spa in November. I am also laser certified. So I, of course, have gone to and hearing things through this whole fiasco with everybody having to go back to school. So I've also heard NEMA is the only school that you can attend, which when I attended National Laser Institute in Arizona, they told me it was national. I've met people from New York, Hawaii, all over the place that went there. So I don't know. My concern is also that I own a spa now, and the estheticians that work for me or rent space from me are not going to be able to do anything but a basic facial. I read one of my esthetician that works for me showed me she took a survey with State Board, and it said basically she couldn't do exfoliation. Washes have exfoliation in them. So it's kind of like nerve-wracking because, again, like the one woman before me spoke, we have had, I mean, even me being laser certified, we have specialty, a lot of people, a lot of estheticians have gone to classes for microdermabrasion, everything that has to do with anything, microcurrent, and we already have training. So now they're telling us we have to retrain again. And just in my case, period, I just want to make sure that I've already taken that course. I already paid thousands of dollars already, and I don't want to have to pay again for something I'm already licensed for and certified for. So I need to get clarification on that. And what can my estheticians do? I hear now you can't do any dermaplaning, you can't do, it's just kind of unnerving because I've yet to get a letter from State Board stating anything. I've yet to get any type of information other than the fact that I've heard that this is not going to go until 2023 of March, 2023. So I just need clarification, and I need to know where I stand.
Thank you for your comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Can you state your first and last name, please?
Sure. My name is Anthony Lacka. How is everybody doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning. My comment is that it's all confusing. So like I have a California license and a Nevada license. So when I practiced in California, it was very clear. Like we were allowed to do certain peels as an esthetician, and then as an advanced esthetician, you were allowed to do deeper peels. And same with just everything in general. So the way you have it spelled out, it's really confusing. So I'm a laser tech as well I had 3 years, and I'm on a non-compete right now. So I have to get the affidavit signed. But do you need, so like if you don't have that and you're going to do the 150-hour follow a doctor or follow a laser tech, then you have to fill out the notarization of collaboration. And then when you're finished, you have to uncollaborate, correct?
Well, I really can't, right now, it's just kind of public comment, but if you can stay on the call, the executive director is going to be able to explain all the services as an esthetician and all the services as an advanced esthetician. And the board will be voting on today how those classes can be actually taken. So if you can just stay on the call and listen to the rest of the meeting, and hopefully at the end of the meeting, you can comment, we've answered your question.
Okay, so yeah, my comment is that I've been doing it for 17 years,
Right.
And now you're telling me a lot to do it. So that's kind of odd, but I get it. So I'll listen to the rest of the call, and hopefully my questions will be answered.
Okay.
Okay, I have a concern.
Can you state your first and last name, please?
Yes, sure. My name is Heather Butler, and
Well,
I'm a
just for a
licensed.
second, Heather, can you give me just 1 second? This is Brenda from the board. I just want to clarify, anybody who is not speaking, if you can please mute yourself so that we give the individual who's going to do their public comment their complete uninterrupted 3 minutes.
I'm on a State Board meeting.
Okay, is it all right to
Eleanor, if
continue?
you can please mute yourself.
Okay, I thought I did.
Okay, we'll go on to the next person that was speaking.
Okay. So my concern is that I appreciate that we are offered the advanced aesthetic license, but when I was doing research, it looks like there's only one school to go to, and it's in Southern Nevada, and it's expensive, and the amount of time that it takes, which is a week, we are not able to work that week. It just seems like this is a very expensive way to go about getting an advanced aesthetic license. And I'm hoping that you will come up with other ways and maybe other schools that we can go to, possibly online or in Northern Nevada, just because it would be really expensive to go and do that in Southern Nevada for a Northern Nevadan person.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Tony Lack, and I have an additional comment. I'd like to know if the state board is going to close the loophole between the medical field and the aesthetic field. As of right now, I can go to work under a doctor's umbrella as an MA, medical assistant, and I can perform lasers, I can do dermaplaning, I can do everything that that doctor sees me fit to do. In fact, they're not calling them estheticians, they're calling them skincare therapists and laser techs. So they're getting around the State Board of Cosmetology and going through the medical board. So Mike, I'm concerned, are you going to close that loophole so that if you're making all the estheticians go through this route, then I think everybody should. So like there is a loophole through the medical field under the doctor's malpractice insurance right now.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments before we move on to the next agenda item?
I had a question.
Can you state
this
your
is
first and
Nicole.
last name, please?
Nicole Flores.
Okay.
My question, I'm just trying to get clarification on the salicylic acid.
Yes.
As far as if it's like an ingredient that's completely banned, or like if we just can't use it to peel the skin under a basic or even an advanced license. My question is, if it's in, that ingredient is in a product, does that mean as an esthetician, I can't use it, but if I go to Walgreens and buy CeraVe, then that's okay? Like, I'm just confused on the whole salicylic acid. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I see somebody has their hand raised. Can you state your first and last name, please?
Hello, good morning. This is Sanju Shrestha. I am esthetician for 10 years now, working as an esthetician. And my question is, I have gone for 900 hours back in 2012, and it includes facial machine of 100 hours and all like peel related salicylic glycolic lactic acid peel. So now my question is, we are not allowed to do this while we are doing it for 10 years now. So I'm a little confused about what the scope of practice is. And if you can clarify this, whether to go for the school for the same, what we have already done. This is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Somebody else had their hand raised, or anybody else that wanted to speak before we move on?
I'd like to speak. My name is Shantali Harless. And
okay, go right ahead.
It's kind of in the same as the two before. When we did go to school, we actually learned the microcurrent, the LEDs, working with glycolic, salicylic, all the different acids. Not only that, every time we take on a new product line that has more depth ingredients, you go through and get certified through that company. I've also done lasers at a med spa. And when I did lasers, you had to get certified through that laser. And every time they did an upgrade on that laser, you had to get recertified on the upgrades of that laser. So if you're having us want to go to the Savannah school to get certified on their lasers, but if I go to work at a med spa that is offering a different laser, I then still have to pay to get certified on their current laser. And in the scope of practice of where we're working doesn't have lasers, but as far as the pills and the LEDs and the microcurrents, we've already did that in our initial school training, plus additional training for from every company that's brought on their product and recertified underneath them to use their product lines. So I'm just wondering why we're taking a step backwards as far as even just basic aesthetics.
Thank you for your comment. Hopefully during the presentation, we'll be able to answer the majority of the questions that or concerns. Is it Courtney?
Hi, yes, this is Countess Courtney. I was actually an instructor for the NEMA laser course. So I do know that it is a very rigorous course because I did teach it. My comment is that I believe that the esthetician should be able to practice under a medical director with their 600-hour certification. It just seems fair if they have a medical director supervising them that they wouldn't need to have to go and get another certificate. Now, I understand if that happens, then there will need to be more than one school that can facilitate that. And I would be interested in possibly, I could follow up with Mr. Landry or Janie in regards to what that is going to take, because I would like to offer those courses myself with the new institute I'm representing. So thank you guys for your time today, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. I see another person. Is it Gwyneth? Gwyneth?
Hello, hey, this is Chris Nemeth with SOS Wax. Just a quick comment here. Appreciate your time and letting us speak. We've been to several board meetings, and board members, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. But generally speaking on this subject, like I said, we've been to several, and in the comments section of the meetings that you guys have, generally like one person or no people talk. And you could tell from the sentiment in this meeting that there's tons of people talking and way more participants than are normally there. And the sentiment is common, and I'll encapsulate it and probably speak later at the next section that's available too. But there's generally speaking a lack of information, a lack of communication, other than it sounds like it's already passed and business owners are getting the buck passed to them essentially. People that are already in business, are we grandfathered? Are we not grandfathered? Is this information even useful to employees, being that it's 1 week long, as we've had employees that have already done the NEMA class in the past, and the communication we're getting is it wouldn't prepare them anymore for the services that we already do and the training that's already there. From the products that we use, as was said in a previous comment, the products and the equipment already do top-notch training specifically designed for those ingredients of those products and the equipment that we use. What prompted the change? It seems like business has been going fine, no customer complaints, lawsuits, anything like that. So I'd be curious what prompted this change. The reaction amongst business owners and estheticians that have spent an enormous amount of money do feel slighted that this feels like it's jammed down our throats. But the reaction seems pretty universal amongst businesses. And I'll just close this up with, this doesn't seem like it's ready for a prime time release or vote with the distinct lack of information out there. And I'll cede my time at this point.
Thank you. And if you could, stay on the call and listen to the presentation by our executive director, I think as a board, we would appreciate that. There's another comment, and you can go right ahead. Just state your first and last name. Go right ahead.
This was Tony. I had one more question, or one more comment. I appreciate the board and everything that's being done. I've been licensed for 17 years. I have all these same concerns. Has anyone taken the time to look at other master esthetician or advanced esthetician class or schools? I know that Bellis Academy in Southern California already has this going on. And in California, this is already in place and already been running for several years. Have we taken a look at that and maybe tried to model some of what we're trying to do in our state after those programs that are already established? That's my question. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
I have one question. My name
Go
is
right ahead. First and last name, please.
yes, Kayan Hung, and I'm a beauty salon owner. I have a question because you know, we get a lot of clientele telling us, you know, that there's people at home using these new machines and, you know, doing it from their garage and everything. So if we're gonna, you know, go through all this, because I mean, I have my license and everything, but you know, if we have to do more classes, like the other lady said, we always, you know, go through classes already and we pay for all that extra education. So are you guys going to be able to be like more strict, or what's going to happen with that? Because, you know, from what I'm hearing, there's, you know, there's no kind of like restriction on that right now. And it was like completely like available for anybody who would buy a machine that could just go, and they're not really getting in trouble for it. So if we're gonna have to pay more, take more classes, people are gonna have to come down, you know, to Southern Nevada to take classes. Is there, you know, is what is gonna be like, you know, the benefit for us to actually go through all this when people, you know, are just doing it without doing it legally?
Right. Thank you for your comment. This is just a comment section, but hopefully some of the questions will be answered. I know that the board staff is doing all that they could possibly do. But you know, this is new. You know, it's a new license, it's a new process, and there's going to be things that need to be worked out. But further in the presentation, you'll be able to still ask some questions. We'll be able to take a few questions, but I think we should get through the presentation, and then we can take some more comments if that sounds
Can
good.
I just say one more thing, one more comment? My name is Chantelli Harless. Cause this came so abrupt, so fast, and you guys are taking away just even simple like salicylic that we've already worked with for so long. You guys have the one school that we can go to school for, and some of us don't want to practice laser, but the course inquires that you have to do a laser course as well. You can't just take a pill course. Who are you guys going to release who the financial beneficiary is of this movement? Because it looks like the only person that's benefiting from this, like, is there another motive, is NEMA. There's no other opportunity, no other school. So it seems like this, are you guys going to release how this came about and who is financially benefiting from this?
I can basically share my opinion at the end of the meeting, but the state board is doing all we can to work through this.
But we want to know if we're going to be able to know who's benefiting from our labor and our time.
Can we get first and last name, please?
Sierra.
Sierra, what's your last name?
And Sierra Jade. I'm sorry?
Your last name for the record, please.
Sierra Wold.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sierra, what was your comment again?
I said, but what we want to know is who is like benefiting from this. We don't want an opinion. We just want objective facts. We want to know the facts. That way we can do our due diligence. We need to know names. I just gave you my name. We want to know the names of the people who are benefiting from this, because we're the ones who went to school. We're the ones who took the accredited test. We're the ones who paid the accredited money. And we're the ones who came to you guys. We took the test with you guys. We all are licensed and obliging with you guys. So we need to know who is it controlling our industry, because it's maybe 7-8 people putting the rules down for thousands of us. And now we have to go back. We have to recode our rooms. We have to rezone. We have to now go maybe shut down and go find a provider who will sign off on our rooms. Now we may have to work with other boards. So who is benefiting from our suffering?
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
Yes, I have one. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand. My name is Victoria Jewell. I am the Executive Director of Operations for a skincare company based out of San Marcos, California. We provide product for several estheticians and companies out here in Nevada, as well as all across the country. We do work with several of the schools out here as well in Vegas. And So we are opening an advanced medical school in Colorado, and I just would like to know if somebody could, during the presentation or at the end, let me know who to contact, who the best person to contact would be, if, to see if we could help set up an accelerated program for those estheticians, in Vegas, and to see if we could offer it at a better price point than the one that's currently being talked about and all that stuff. So I don't know if you need my email or whatever, just let me know what you need from me at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other
It's
comments?
Nicole. Hi, yeah, one more thing. This is Nicole Flores. Kind of going off everybody else's comments again, I'm just curious if the board would consider separating laser from like microcurrent and LEDs, like things that we feel we've already been doing. But again, like I work at a resort spa, so we would never use laser. So I would have to pay the money just to continue using my LED lights, which are healing to the skin. I don't know if it's getting confused that LEDs are like a laser, but I mean, it's kind of silly. So I don't know, I'm fine going back to school, even though I'm already certified with LightStim for LED lights, but it's like, I don't want to do laser. And it just seems, kind of silly. So I just was wondering if they would consider separating laser from, other advanced modalities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Duran.
Hi, Sarah, go right ahead.
So yes, just to piggyback on what she was saying, what I've noticed is that LED microcurrent has been removed. These modalities were not only taught in our programs, but are readily available at trade shows. You can buy LED handhelds for consumer use. These modalities have increased our revenue by having add-ons to our services, which this directly affects our livelihood. So there's no benefit to continue with the basic license if we can't even use these modalities. I'm curious is, NEMA originally had the advanced exfoliation in addition to the laser for $6,000. Then they pretended like it was a favor to remove the advanced exfoliation and then only offer the laser for $4,500. From what I've experienced here as an esthetician, I work at a resort, but I've also been a solo esthetician, and I was planning to go solo this year. I have never had an intention of being a laser tech. I do not want to work for somebody. I do not want to work under a doctor. So I don't understand why there is a requirement for us to go pay $4,500 that could be reinvested in our businesses to a school to learn laser when we're not going to be using that. It's not only the solo estheticians, but it's the resorts, the Strip. Everybody there is not using lasers at any of the resorts on the Strip. And, I'm sure that's a pretty huge financial benefit to the city as far as having those resorts available for people coming in for tourism. So I just really want them to reevaluate that and to really look at the facts behind it, because LED and microcurrent, that's something that's already been included. We've already taken training, and we should not have to pay $45 for laser to learn something we're not going to use, just to use tools that we've already been using. So that's my main concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I was curious. I visited a school about a week ago, and they have been in the program for about 3 to 4 months. So about the time this bill got passed, these students were already signed up for aesthetics. So my curiosity is also, how are we relaying this transparency to the students who just paid $15,000 for education? And now they're being told that, hey, what you were going to be able to do and what you came to school for is actually changed. Now you got to come back after this, spend another $6,000, not covered with financial aid, and you got to do it by this time. So now our new SDs that may have been going to help, like some of us who maybe own a solo suite or have our own business, they can't even come and work for us. So now they got to go to school for even longer. And as far as I'm concerned, the NEMA courses that were available were already booked out so very far. So how is that fair to students who are, in the programs now, having to follow these new rules? And they were totally basically misled and misguided if they had just signed up 2 months prior. You know, that's very unethical and a mishandling of money as well. A lot of money when the, you know, in financial aid that they have to pay back.
Thank you for your comment. One more comment. Okay, well, I mean, we can take, that's what we're here for today, is to take the comments into to consideration. And I mean, as a board, I support the estheticians. I'm just listening right now. Okay, another comment. I see a hand raised.
Yes, it's Countess again. I just wanted to put it out there that I have a lot of faith that the board would not create a monopoly for all of the active licensed estheticians to require them to only go to one school for a solution for their advanced education if they need to take that route forward. So I'm looking forward to finding out what type of standardized type of programs that you guys will be requiring for everyone to take, because I would really like to take a part in facilitating that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, so maybe you might have some other comments or questions during the presentation. So I'm going to move on to, at this time, Courtney, is your hand still up? Okay.
I have one comment. I'm sorry. Can I re-comment? So just kind of to reiterate what everybody's saying, I guess the main concern is, like I said, some of us already have it, like myself. I've been licensed in Nevada since 1989. I'm also licensed in Arizona. So these are things that these estheticians have done already. So our concern is, why are you making these girls, again, we were out of work for 2 years with the pandemic. So on top of that, you guys are making us do stuff and we're barely trying to get back on our feet now. And it's just unnerving to us as owners. Like I said, I just opened my spa in November. I have a woman that works for me that isn't certified in laser and doesn't want to do laser, doesn't have any intention of using these skills. And again, state board is just overlooking these things and making these people do unnecessary things. That's just ridiculous at this point. It makes us kind of go a little crazy because, hello, I have over $100,000 worth of equipment. So let's just say they said, okay, Eleanor, you can't use this anymore. What do I do with all that? I have training already. I have already bought all this stuff over the years. I've been in the business for over 30 years. This is what I'm trying to get to the point of, and what we need clarification on is somebody to sit there and just say, okay, here's the breakdown. But it's not fair to all these estheticians. And again, I'm a cosmetologist, so I have a little bit more hours than an esthetician. Regardless of the situation, these girls have already went to school. I have a niece in school in Arizona, and I'm sure this kind of trickles everywhere, and she's concerned. Again, like the woman before, it said they've already paid for their school, and all of a sudden now your school means nothing. It's like saying your license is crap now and you have to go back to school. And if you don't, tough. That's just how it is. And again, there's somebody, if somebody financially is gaining this, somebody's getting their pockets lined, something has to be happening here. It makes no common sense whatsoever to make these people go back to school and make us all do this. Again, I've already done it because I chose to do laser. I work for a doctor, and to comment on one of those people that said, yeah, under a doctor, I work for a really well-known dermatologist here in Las Vegas. You don't have to have, they used to bring girls in that weren't certified and they would train them under the machine, and you learned under that, or the last esthetician would train you, and doctors don't have to follow the guidelines. Never in the 3 years I worked for this doctor did state board come in and do anything. And we're practicing the same treatments and services that we're doing in our spas. So again, there is a glitch there somewhere because they're medical, they get away with whatever they want. That's basically what's happening. And then if a cosmetologist or an esthetician wants to do it, we get nailed to the cross for everything. And that's just not fair. And that's where we're at. I think a lot of people will agree with me. This is where we're standing right now. And as an owner, as somebody that's trying to hire these girls down the road eventually, they're not going to come work for me if they can't do anything. anything, what is the point? You can't even put LED light on somebody. You can buy these things on Amazon, for God's sakes. Like, these are things that people can utilize from home. So there's nothing that they're trying to change everything up when they have been already doing these treatments for years. Some of us for many, many years, and some of us just came out of school. Regardless, everybody has been trained in some form or another through companies that they bought things from, or schools that brought training in and they paid extra for on top of their already existing things. So again, this is where it boils down to. The money is ridiculous, for one. If I don't want to ever do laser, then why would I pay for that? And again, in Las Vegas, this is a big industry for the strip, the hotels. They don't do things like this. They're there for one time to do their little weekend, fun. They're not doing these kinds of things. So it is just unfair for us to have to even deal with this. But we're here, and we're here to hear what State Board is going to do about this, because again, we're just standing, again, being a licensee of two different states. I got to clarify what's happening here versus Arizona, the same thing, because I travel for work over there also. So again, this is just a big, just kind of mind-boggling for, as a person that's been in the industry and been State Board licensed with Nevada since 1989. It's kind of crazy. It just makes me kind of want to just like, I need answers, I need clarification, and I need to be able to clarify what we can and cannot do, and what I can tell my future employees or people that want to rent a room for me. What can I do? Because I don't want to be held liable for any kind of fine. State Board comes in and fines me for things like that. So that's where I think everybody's at this point. So if we can get some clarification and some type of resolution for this, because again, it's just unfair.
Okay. Thank you for your comment.
I have a question or a comment.
Okay, go right ahead. Can I get your first and last name?
Yes, this is Tony Lacka again.
Okay.
So what I'd like to see take place now, we haven't heard the rest of your presentation, which is really unfair to you since we're making all these crazy comments right now. Well, we're all stressed out, and you could probably feel our frustration through our voices, but I'd like to have you guys extend the deadline. I think what the deadline did for me is just stress me out. I have to do this now in a very short amount of time. I work for myself doing aesthetics, and I work for a dermatologist doing laser. So it's kind of, I'm in a catch-22. I don't know what's going to happen there. But the deadline, I think, is not enough time for us to figure it out, for you guys to figure it out, and for us to figure it out and get on a financial page where we can take that next step. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on so that we can get through the presentation, and then there's some questions during the presentation. There's not a problem with us taking some questions, and then we can take some more comments in the end, but hopefully that's what we're here for today, is to try to give the information, and maybe it will answer a lot of the questions and concerns. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with agenda item number D, approval of minutes from the previous meeting for discussion and possible action, January 10th, 2022 board meeting minutes, and March 7th, 2022 regulation adoption hearing minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
This is Kai Stanton. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Board Member Harris, I approve that motion.
Second, and
A
all
second,
in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Aye.
Aye.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number E is for discussion only. The board executive director will discuss SB 291. Executive Landry will present the advanced aesthetic license. Are you ready to present, executive director?
Yes, I am. We'll put up a presentation on the screen, and then I'll go from there. All right. This will be a presentation of esthetician and advanced esthetician licenses. We're going to cover the esthetician license, the advanced esthetician license, the 2-year transition status, and take any questions after. So the first thing we're going to do is discuss the esthetician license. In Nevada Revised Statutes, Chapter 644A, .065 and .075, it defines estheticians and aesthetics. The esthetician means that any person who engages in the practice of aesthetics. Aesthetics means the practice of beautifying, massaging, cleansing, and stimulating the skin of the human body by the use of cosmetic preparations, antiseptics, tonics, lotions or creams, or any device, electrical or otherwise, for the care of the skin. Applying cosmetics, eyelash extensions or eyelashes to any person, tinting eyelashes and eyebrows, eyelash perming, and lightening the hair on the body, and finally removing superfluous hair from the body of any person by use of depilatories, waxing, tweezers, or sugaring, but does not include the branches of cosmetology of a cosmetologist, hair designer, shampoo technologist, hair braider, electrologist, or nail technologist. As used in this section, depilatories does not include the practice of threading. So that's aesthetics and estheticians. 644A.335 is the scope of examination. Examination will cover practical demonstrations in facial massage, cosmetics, or arching the eyebrow, written and oral tests on antisepsis, sterilization, and sanitation, the use of mechanical apparatus and electricity in the care of skin, and the laws of Nevada and the regulations of the board relating to cosmetology, and such other demonstrations and tests as the board requires. 644A.285 is examination. The examinations will be a test on infection control and prevention. The provisions of this chapter and chapter 644A of the NRS, client preparation and setup of supplies, cleansing the face, exfoliating the face, massaging the face, hair removal by tweezing and simulated soft wax, facial masks, facial makeup, and procedures for exposure to blood. 644A.603 is the equipment. The minimum equipment required in schools will be 5 facial chairs, 5 facial machines designed to perform aesthetic procedures within the legal scope of services, 5 facial steamers, 5 towel warmers, 5 waxing units, 1 chair for each student in attendance, 1 writing surface for each student in attendance, 1 mannequin for each student in attendance, 1 tripod or mannequin clamp for each student in attendance, 1 kit for each student in attendance, which contains an adequate amount of facial supplies, an adequate amount of skincare products to allow students to perform the tasks required by the curriculum, and an adequate amount of wet disinfectant. Then the 644A.634 is the curriculum for aesthetics estheticians. Each school of cosmetology shall offer the following subjects for training to the students studying esthetician. Aesthetic theory with a minimum of 10% of the total hours of training mandatory for all students. Facials, facial machines, field trips and modeling with a maximum of 5% of the total hours of training optional for all students. Hair removal, infection control and prevention with a minimum of 3% of the total hours of training mandatory for all students. Makeup and eyelash application, management of cosmetological establishment. The provisions of this chapter and chapter 644A of NRS is a minimum of 2% of the total hours of training mandatory for all students. Students may, after completing 10% of the total hours, earn credits for up to 5% of the total hours by training by attending field trips that are approved by the school. Field trip must be conducted under the direct supervision of a licensed instructor. The instructor shall accompany the students and be available to provide assistance or instruction to the student at all times during the field trip. The student must submit to school a time of record authenticated by the instructor for each field trip. That's what's in the esthetician license. Also, estheticians are allowed to perform eyelash extension, facials, waxing and sugaring, eyebrow tinting, eyebrow permanent lash lift, makeup, microdermabrasion, body treatment, high frequency, and extraction. Those are all of the things that are permitted for an esthetician to do. That's been the way it has been since the beginning of time. There's been no changes to anything that's going on with the esthetician. Now I'll go through the advanced esthetician and what's required there. In section 6, 7, and 8, it defines what advanced estheticians are. An advanced aesthetic procedure means any of the following procedures performed for aesthetic purposes and not for the treatment of a medical, physical, or mental ailment. So these are all treatments for aesthetic purposes. Exfoliation, microdermabrasion related services, microneedling, dermaplaning, extraction, hydrotherapy, a non-ablative aesthetic medical procedure, or other similar aesthetic preparations or procedures with the use of hands or mechanical or electronic apparatus. Section 7, advanced esthetician means any person who engages in the practice of advanced aesthetics. Section 8, advanced aesthetics means the practice of advanced aesthetic procedures in addition to the practice of aesthetics. Section 10 and 11 gives aesthetic medical devices and procedures. Section 10, aesthetic medical device means device as defined under 21 USC Section 321, used to perform an aesthetic medical procedure, including without limitation, a laser, a radio shockwave device, a cryotherapy device, a device that emits radio frequencies, plasma, intense pulse light, ultrasound, microwaves, or other similar energies. Section 11, aesthetic medical procedures means a procedure performed using an aesthetic medical device for the purposes of the care of the skin, beautification, anti-aging, permanent hair reduction, skin tightening, skin rejuvenation, non-invasive body contouring, non-invasive lipolysis, or other similar aesthetic procedures. Going down to section 19, that's the application. Board shall admit for examination the licensee as an advanced esthetician. Any person who has made the application to the board in the proper form, paid the fees, is at least 18 years of age, is of good moral character, has completed the 10th grade of school or its equivalent, satisfies at least one of the following: has completed at least 900 hours of training in a licensed school of cosmetology in a curriculum prescribed by the board pursuant to section 23 of this act. Or B, the person is licensed as an esthetician has additionally completed at least 300 hours of training in a licensed school of cosmetology in a curriculum prescribed by the board pursuant to section 23 of this act. Or C, the person has practiced as a full-time advanced esthetician for at least 1 year. Section 20 is the examination. Examination as an advanced esthetician may include practical demonstrations in advanced aesthetics, written and oral tests on antisepsis, sterilization, sanitation, the use of electricity and mechanical apparatuses, including without limitation, aesthetic medical devices, is applicable to the practice of advanced aesthetics. And C, the laws of Nevada and regulations of the board relating to cosmetology. And 3, such other demonstrations and tests as the board requires. Section 22, non-ablated aesthetic medical procedures. An advanced esthetician may perform a non-ablative aesthetic medical procedure only under the supervision of a healthcare professional. For the purposes of this section, an aesthetic medical procedure is performed under the supervision of a healthcare professional if at all times during the performance of the procedure, the healthcare professional is readily available for immediate consultation with the advanced esthetician by telephone or other communication technology, which allows the healthcare professional and the advanced esthetician to communicate in real time. And B, remains within 60 miles or 60 minutes of the location at which the procedure is being performed and is readily available to provide care in person if any problems arise during the procedure. An advanced esthetician shall not perform any ablative aesthetic medical procedures. As used in this section, healthcare professional has the meaning described to it in NRS 453C.030. Section 23 is the curriculum. The board shall adopt regulations prescribing a curriculum for a course of study in advanced aesthetics to be used by the licensed school of cosmetology that wishes to offer such a course of study. The curriculum prescribed pursuant to subsection 1 must include, without limitation, instructions in the following subjects: state and federal laws pertaining to the practice of advanced aesthetics, professional ethical standards for advanced estheticians, the theory and performance of advanced aesthetic procedures, medical subjects relevant to the practice of advanced aesthetics, including without limitation, subjects relating to health, lifestyle, nutrition, autoimmune diseases, infection control, and wound healing. First aid, including without limitation, the administration of cardiopulmonary resuscitation, subjects relating to the science of skin, including without limitation, skin type, systems for classification of skin conditions and skin disorders and diseases, anatomy, physiology, chemistry, pharmacology, and other relevant sciences, the physics of wave energy, including without limitation, the physics of lasers, intense pulse light, radio frequency, ultrasound, plasma, and other energies, the duties of an advanced esthetician with respect to confidentiality of client information, client consultation, informed consent, and the care of clients both before and after the advanced aesthetic procedure. Subjects relevant to the professional practice of advanced aesthetics, including without limitation, professional liability insurance, risk management, and professional interactions with healthcare professionals. Subjects relating to aesthetic, medical procedures, devices, and other apparatuses used in the practice of advanced aesthetics, including without limitation, the classification, maintenance, and safe and proper use of such devices and apparatus. And the last one, any other subjects which the board may determine by regulation to be necessary and proper for the instruction of advanced esthetician. The last part is section 45, which is the 2-year transition status. This reads, notwithstanding the mandatory provisions of this act, the board may issue a license as an advanced esthetician to an applicant without regard to whether the applicant meets the requirements set forth in the mandatory provisions of this act, if the applicant, so that any applicant does not have to meet any of the other requirements in the law, except that they must hold a current license as an esthetician issued by the board on or before October 1st, 2023, and B, applies to the board for a license as an advanced esthetician on or before October 1st, 2023, and C, has continuously held a license as an instructor of aesthetics estheticians issued by the board for not less than 3 years immediately preceding the submission of the application for the license, or 2, completed at least 75 hours of training in the operation of lasers for medical and aesthetic purposes, or at least 150 hours of practical experience as an operator of lasers for medical or aesthetic purposes under the delegation or supervision of a healthcare professional or other licensed professional whose license permits such delegation or supervision. An applicant who applies for a license from the board pursuant to subsection 1 must submit to the board a completed application on the form prescribed by the board, the fee for the initial license of the license as an advanced esthetician set forth in NRS 6448.490 as amended by section 34 of this act, proof satisfactory to the board and the applicant satisfies the requirements for licensure set forth in subsection 1, and B, any other information requested by the board. A license issued by the board pursuant to subsection 1 shall be deemed to be a license as an advanced esthetician issued by the board pursuant to NRS 6448.490 as amended by section 34 of this act. As used in this section, advanced esthetician has the meaning prescribed to it in section 7 of this act. Board means the State Board of Cosmetology. Aesthetics has the meaning ascribed to it under NRS 6448.075. Healthcare professional has the meaning ascribed to it as in NRS 453C.030. And NRS 453C.030, healthcare professional defined. Healthcare professional means a physician assistant, or an advanced practice nurse. As used in this section, advanced practice nurse has the meaning ascribed to it in NRS 632.012. Physician means a physician licensed pursuant to chapter 630 or 633 of NRS. And physician assistant means a physician assistant licensed pursuant to chapter 630 or 633 of NRS. What these sections mean, the advanced practical nurse is an advanced practical nurse. A physician may be a medical doctor or an osteopath. A physician's assistant may be a medical doctor's physician assistant or an osteopath's physician's assistant. That's what it means. That's what the law means. And getting back to the laws, nothing has changed in the aesthetics laws. The laws were unchanged. There was nothing changed in the revisions that went in under Senate Bill 291, which was put into law in June of this year. It went in and effective as of January 1st, 2022, and remains in effect until any laws change. The Board of Cosmetology did not write these laws. They did not administer these laws. They did not do anything to do anything to these laws except when the laws were passed by the Nevada State Legislature. That's how we get our laws. They're passed by the legislature. Sometimes when we present laws, they get passed. Sometimes when other groups put laws in, they get passed. Threading was a law put in outside of our scope of service. The advanced estheticians is a law put in outside of our pushing the law through. So all these laws and all, these are the things that we have to administer. When the legislature says to administer, we say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, we will administer it. That's why we're doing this. No one's making any great sums of money and all. You were talking about places that can administer this training. Any school who applies and has the proper teachers and supervisors can teach these. We've had requests from G-Skin, Euphoria, and Milan. We've not gotten any applications from any of them to open up an advanced esthetician school yet. I have a feeling they're going to be applying in the next month. NEMA has applied as an advanced esthetician school and has been granted a license to practice advanced aesthetics. That's where we stand today. There were other comments regarding salicylic acid. Salicylic acid has been banned. It has never been allowed. It's always been banned, and it has never been allowed by any esthetician to use. If you're using it, then you're using it outside of the scope of what you're supposed to be doing. You should not be using it, salicylic acid, in anything being put on the face. That is against the law. That's not an NAC. It's under the NRS. NRS, Nevada Revised Statutes. That's the law. The law states you will not use salicylic acid or other acids to peel the face. That's what it says. That's what we have to administer. We didn't create this. It was created by the legislature. Everything in the law is done by the legislature. We can help. We sometimes put laws in, but a lot of times laws are put in by the legislature because they get information from other sources. That's about it for the presentation. I will say on the website, which we gave out to all, we sent an email to every esthetician in the state. There's 4 pages of questions and answers that answers pretty much all the questions that you were coming up with. They're all answered in the questions and answers. And the last update, 3/10/22, the last day update, this document, it goes through and tells you what an esthetician can do, what an advanced esthetician can do, what requires healthcare and professional supervision, what's prohibited and out of scope service. It goes through the list of every service that we can think of. If you come up with more, we'll investigate them and come up and put them on the list, whether it's one that can be done by an esthetician, advanced esthetician, or requires healthcare professional supervision, or is prohibited and out of scope of service. Those are all going to be updated as we move forward. That's where we stand today on all of these things, all these issues going on. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I'll have staff here that can answer any questions also to help out. We have our DAG here. She can help answer the questions as far as what can be done, what can't be done, and we're ready to move forward on the questions.
I have a question for you, sir.
Sure.
My name is Tony Lacka again. So with the modernization of peels, we're not allowed to put any peel on the skin to peel any acid to put on the skin to peel it, correct?
That is correct. That's not a new law. That law has
I know, I understand that. But as technology moves forward, what about micronization of those peels that don't peel the skin? That you get the same benefits from the acid in the skin without peeling. They're called micro.
As long as it's not salicylic acid, and as long as you're not peeling the skin, it should be okay. You can submit it to the board. We can review it and give you a final ruling on that. But as long as it's not peeling the skin, as long as it's on the surface of the skin, that's fine. But if it peels the skin, okay, that's where you get into problems.
But definitely no salicylic acid. Now, my question goes back to the person that asked about the salicylic acid before. What if it's in products like a salicylic wash or something of to that nature?
You can't, if it's in the product, you cannot use that on the public. It says, and that's the laws that went into effect. Let me check.
Okay.
But that's where the
I think you answered
confusion,
question.
that's where the confusion, and you just said, as long as it does not peel the skin, if it's, then we can use it. There's salicylic that doesn't peel the skin. It's just, it's in the product, but we're not doing any peel of the skin. So there's different levels, just like there's different levels of acid. So you're saying at one point, no salicylic, but then there's like a salicylic wash and where there's salicylic product that's not peeling the skin.
Yeah.
But I think it's salicylic, you can't use salicylic, period, right?
Right. The law states that you will not use salicylic acid on the face. If it's salicylic acid in any form, in any product, no matter how diluted, you're not to use it on the face. That's the way the law reads. We didn't create the law, we administer the law. The laws are created by the legislators. So when legislators put that in, at the time, it was probably something that was very dangerous at that time. We may be able to modify it later in the future. We can work with you on that, but right as of now, if it has salicylic acid, you cannot use it on the face. Well, I shouldn't say on the face, on the body, anywhere on the entire body.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, my question is, the schools that we got our basic aesthetic license for at 700 to 900 hours, they are teaching the salicylic, they are teaching the LED, they are teaching these scopes. So are you guys going to change that? They're teaching, I've been an esthetician for 15 years. But when I went to school, and I know those who are still going to school, they are teaching that they can use these in their scope of practice. And then you're saying they're not. So are you guys going to come harsher down on the, like, to make clear guidelines on what they can and can't teach? So that way they're not coming out thinking that they can use these things when they really can't.
We'll have to look into that. We cannot tell a school exactly what they teach. We don't regulate everything that they teach. They can teach things that are outside the scope of service if they want to. We don't have regulations on that. We can take a look at schools that are doing that and give them some advice to not do that. If they're going to teach that, to let them know that you can't do this in practice when you get out in the field. You can also modify the laws that would allow that to be taught and allow that to be used, but that's not in the law today. We have to administer the laws that they're in today. That's not in the law today.
How do we go about submitting to use product that you said, that if there's product that we say, like a peel that does not, or a salicylic that does not peel the skin? How do we go about submitting, trying to get approval to use that? Like, how many of our places use, every spa on the strip uses Hydrofacial. Hydrofacial, there is a product that has salicylic in it. How do we go about submitting to get these approved?
You can submit them to the board staff, we'll take them in, we'll evaluate them, and then we can come up with the recommendation saying it can and cannot be used. We'll have to look at the ingredients. If it has salicylic acid, I can tell you right now, we won't approve it. But if it doesn't contain salicylic acid, it doesn't peel the skin, then we may be able to approve it.
Sir, I have one more question. This is something lack again. I need clarification. You've mentioned something about being an esthetician for 1 year. Is that part of the criteria of getting to be going through the process of becoming a advanced esthetician? I didn't quite understand where you were coming with that.
Yeah, that's in section 45. That means you have to hold the license of an esthetician on or before October 1st, 2023. That says that if you're an esthetician now, and if you get your esthetician's license by October 1st, 2023. Then on October 21st, 2023, you have to submit to get your advanced esthetician license if you satisfy the rest of the criteria. The rest of the criteria can be, just so you know, you can be an instructor for 3 years. You don't have to have any laser training if you're an instructor for 3 years. You can just apply and you become an advanced esthetician. If you've completed at least 75 hours of training in the operation of lasers, if you went to a school and went to take courses that are certified, we can certify you that you have 75 hours of training. We can give you an advanced esthetician license. Or if you've been using lasers for 150 hours and you're a medical professional will certify to that, then we can issue an advanced esthetician license. Those are the three types. Those are the three criteria we can use to issue an advanced esthetician license. Outside of the regular scope.
So
Thank you, sir.
Sir, the question of, are you guys going to offer different levels? Like those of us who work in the spa on the strips, in these luxury spas, there's no reason for us to pay $6,000 to take to take lasers to get an advanced aesthetic license to be able to do peels. So are you guys going to allow a course that just allows us to use the salicylic, or not the salicylic, but all the peels and the LED and the microcurrent versus not having to take the full course to do lasers if that is not in our interest?
That is not currently in the law. There's nothing in the law that will allow us to give you any kind of advanced designation unless you've taken the laser course. That's the only out is the advanced esthetician or these laser courses, and that goes away. So you know, October 1st, 2023, after that date, no one will be able to get advanced esthetician license unless they go through the 300 hours for they're an esthetician, go through 300 hours of training, or they go through the full 900 hours of the advanced esthetician. That's the only way to become it. This grandfathering clause in there was put in so that it would allow transfers of people who are already doing the work, already have the training to do it. It does require laser training, and that's just the way the law is written. We can't change the law. We didn't write the law, so we have to administer the law as given to us by the legislature.
Okay, I have a question. My name again is Sarah Duran. You're mentioning that this is because of the law, but being that the estheticians don't have an association to back us, like a medical association and such, aren't you guys supposed to be the voice for us when something doesn't sound right? I mean, does it even logically make sense to push laser on us when we're voicing our opinion? I feel like no matter what we're saying, we're not being heard. You keep pushing it onto the law. And what we're trying to say is, can't you guys understand the logic behind what is being presented and be a voice for us if they are ignoring our voice? There is no reason for us to be forced to take a laser course for $4,500. I don't care if other schools can possibly get, a license to teach. You think that they're really going to be able to afford $100,000 laser machines and that's going to happen before October of next year? It's not. Okay, so what our option is NEMA. So what our concern is who is the one that influenced the law to require laser? And why isn't there another alternative if we don't want to go in that direction and we want to maybe take an advanced exfoliation course, and then that would satisfy it. But it doesn't even line up again to say, you said nothing's changed in the law. Well, then why are you including LED and microcurrent in the advanced esthetician program? And the only way to get that is to study laser. That doesn't even make sense. So please clarify that, and please be transparent how this came about, and stop gaslighting and saying this because it's the law and that it's always been the law, because that is not true.
Thank you.
It has always been the law that you cannot use LEDs. You can't use peels, all these things we said you can't do. You could never do it. If you're doing it, you're doing it outside the law. That's, you know, we may not have caught you when we did inspections, we may not have seen the equipment, we may not have known what equipment you had. But that equipment, and those processes and procedures have always been illegal. They have not been able to be done by an esthetician. Nothing changed in the aesthetics law. The esthetician law is the way it was written, you know, since the beginning of whatever time it went through revisions, but that's what went on under the aesthetics law. The advanced esthetician.
So, excuse me for a second. I'm a transfer esthetician from California, and I paid the fees to come and become an esthetician here and took the law test here. How come I was never told that even though my license in California included training and certification for microcurrent and the use of LED, that it was against the law to practice that? Why are you saying that this has always been the law? And why do you allow for trade shows to sell this equipment to us and use our money to invest in this equipment? And now you're saying that we're breaking the law by using this equipment.
We can't regulate what you can and can't buy. That's not our job. Our job also, to speak to someone else, said, why didn't we represent the estheticians? We don't represent estheticians. We represent the public. We're there to protect the public, protect the consumers. We're here to license you as an esthetician, but we're not here to help you become an esthetician. We're not here to help make you a successful esthetician. That's not our job. Our job is to protect the public. That's what we do, and that's what we have to do. So if you want things changed in the law, you either have to come to us, we'll see if it makes sense to us, or go to a legislator and have them do something in the law. We cannot change the law because we want to change. We can only change the law if a legislator sponsors a bill and pushes it through the legislature. That's what happens. That's why we say we're only obeying the laws. We're only administering the laws. We don't represent you. We represent the consumers.
Okay, so why are we paying you to renew our license?
Because that's what we do that's how we fund ourselves. We get no funding from the state. All of our activities are funded by the license fees that we get from the people that we license. If you don't want to be licensed, don't be licensed. We won't regulate you. We won't look at you. If you want to be licensed, you have to pay your fee. Then we will go out and inspect your facility. That's the way licensing works. That's the way all licensing works. And that's in every state. Every state in the union, the occupational licensing is to protect the consumers who use those occupational license types. So if you're a contractor, you get a license so that you can perform work for a consumer. But the contractors board does not protect the contractors. It protects the consumers so the consumers can get a good job and get a fair job. Same way the occupational licensing protects the consumers who want to have a haircut, who want to get their facials, and want to have their nails done. We protect them by saying these people have gotten adequate education, they've passed the laws, they've passed the tests that we administered, and we think that they're good enough to go out and perform these services. We go out and inspect even after that to make sure that you're doing the services properly, that all the services be done in a sanitary condition. That's what we do. That's what the board is there to do.
Okay, so before this bill was passed, I'm sorry, I just have one more question, but how come we weren't notified? Nobody got an email that this was even going on.
It was in the legislature for a while.
Yeah, we had 5 meetings that we did different services for advanced aesthetics. The advanced esthetician law was not authored by the board. They had another group that came in and offered it through a legislator, got it started. We got involved to make sure that we could make the changes that were necessary to make it palatable. We made changes to the law. Part of the changes that were made is Section 45 to allow people to come in and get, with less training, still get an advanced esthetician license. So that was part of what went on. But we don't have any obligation to inform anyone of laws that are going in, laws that are coming up. We don't have to communicate with any of the licensees. That you have to remember, we're not here to protect you, a licensee. We're here to protect the public. That's why we're here.
I have a question.
On that note, you should make yourself more knowledgeable on what our ingredients are and what our process is on peels, with the micro peels and such. With technology changing, shouldn't you, as protecting the public, be aware of that change and be aware of what we're using and what's going on with our laws and legislature?
Tony, I would like to interject, just if you could. Thank you, Executive Landry. I think the reason why a lot of us are so up in arms over the salicylic ingredient is it can be purchased over the counter in a wart medication at potentially 20%, and the consumer could possibly use it on themselves at home to remove warts and skin tags, but we cannot use it to utilize our acne fighting treatments for all of our clients that have acne. So this is definitely something that I feel should be brought back to the legislature, because there are so many other ingredients, like glycolic is a lot more aggressive than salicylic in some degrees, and it doesn't seem fair. But now that I do have your attention, I would like to clarify. I believe it was section 43 under the non-ablative treatment guidelines. Did you say that you need to obtain consent before and after these procedures? And would a before and after picture suffice instead of a signature being obtained? Because I feel like a signature being obtained before and after is quite a lengthy process.
And you're talking about a signature from your client that you're doing the services on?
Yes, I mean, I would like some clarification on that, because when you read it, for some reason, I heard that you needed to obtain consent before and after these procedures.
That doesn't mean signatures. That just means that you're being taught that you advise the client what's going on before the procedure, and you follow up after the procedure, make sure everything was done okay. We don't have anything to say about that at all. That's purely what the school teaches you as an esthetician. And just to let you know, the only thing we're after, we don't care if you gave a good haircut, if you gave a good facial, or you gave a good manicure. Doesn't mean anything to us. What means something to us is that you gave a safe and sanitary haircut, facial, and nail manicure. That's it. If you cut the hair wrong, if you did something wrong with the facial, if you do something bad to their nails and they're all botched up, as long as you did not cause injury, then we're not involved. That we're not involved in bad haircuts, bad facials, or bad manicures. That's not what we're there for. If you hurt them, if you injured them in some way, then we get involved.
Thank you for that clarification. And I also wanted to know, as far as medical directorship goes, you stated APRNs and MDs and PAs, but you didn't cover NPs, and they are allowed to practice solely in Nevada as a, in place of a physician per se. So was there a reason why you didn't cover that, or?
Because it's not in the law. The law states you have to be a medical practitioner. Medical practitioner is only physician, doctors, MDs, osteopaths, APRNs, medical practice, a medical physician's assistant, or an osteopath physician's assistant. That's it. That's what's in the law. That's what you can have.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
Another clarification, you said there's a grandfathering process. For those of us that have never done lasers, is there a grandfathering process? Those of us who have worked on this strip at the, at this.
Yes. For you to be part of the grandfathering process, you have to either be, taught estheticians for 3 years, or you take 75 hours of training, or you practice for 150 hours in a med spa. Those are the three ways you can get grandfathered in. That's the only three ways you can get grandfathered in. They all deal with the laser training, and except for being a practitioner who's been an instructor. That's the only thing. You don't have to have any laser certifications or anything. If you're an instructor for 3 years, instructing estheticians for the last 3 years, that's it. That's the only thing you need to be is just an instructor.
Okay, Director Landry, is there any way we could, would like to open it up for the other, for any of the board members that have any questions or comments at this time, before we call for a vote on the SB 291 agenda item number 2.
There's no vote. This is a discussion only.
Oh, I thought we were going to be talking about, here is saying the board is to vote whether the hours of training can be extended. I think, look at the agenda item number 2.
Yeah, if you go down to 2, we're on item number 1, we're discussing SB 291. Number 2 is whether the board wants to allow online training as well as in-school training for the 75 hours. That's the only thing. If you allow online training for them to do the training online, that would be something, if you want to do that or not. This is a discussion of SB 291 for discussion only.
We're still on agenda item 1, right?
Right.
Okay, I think there's board members might have comments or questions. I think they should be allowed to at this time.
Absolutely. I welcome the rest.
Okay.
This is board member Douglas. My concern was like everyone else, but Gary, he rectified it for me. So basically listening to everybody's comments and him giving clarity of it, I kind of understand it better. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam President, this is Kai Stanton. I would like to go over this information. Everything that I heard today, I've said time and time again, even those that have particular training already. I think that was my very first statement, that we need to acknowledge those that have already have their training. We need to take a sobering look at making sure that all the information is absolutely accurate and nothing will be affected regarding estheticians and their current licensing and those that are currently working. The whole focus of this license was to provide certain education and be able to approve that level of education through a licensing review, not necessarily saying that only education can be had through one entity. I don't believe that was the conversation regarding the board that I attended, that I heard it all. From my understanding, it was just highlighting those that it was saying estheticians cannot utilize certain services, when honestly, a lot of these things, including
I haven't got a chance to talk, so.
I'm sorry, did someone say something?
No,
Can I
go ahead,
finish
board.
my statement? I apologize. Is that okay?
Okay. Go right ahead. Board member Stanton, you're going like in and out. So
can you hear me now?
Okay, can you repeat?
I apologize. So over the counter, that is absolutely accurate. There are some things that I would and am going to put on the meeting for future dates that I attempted to do.
In the middle of all this, I gotta go.
Can you please mute your phone, please? Thank you.
Thank you. So for example, a lot of the pills, the acids, things of that nature, a lot of these are over the counter, up to 20% high. So those are some changes that need to go into effect as soon as possible. But unfortunately, a lot of things have been changed that derailed a lot of conversation prior to. So I do understand the sentiments. I'm not understanding.
I'm gonna need you to mute your phone one more time, ma'am. Mute your phone and keep it mute till it's time for you to speak. Thank you.
It is muting. I don't know why it's unmuting.
Right, it's on mute. Okay.
Thank you. So there are some changes that can be made regarding an amendment and an adoption that can be done. I think that listening to the voice of the estheticians, as I've strongly said before, under any beauty industry that is governing by the board is important, that the community's voice is heard across the board and not just school entities as well as estheticians, as I explained before. A lot of people have had classes and that have been working under physicians, RNs that are licensed under a medical spa. Medical is a separate board, as well as a lot of the insurance purposes, as well as what they cover, as well as everything that is governed regarding medical. So having that bridge is the bridge of if there is estheticians or cosmetologists that are currently taking classes from a doctor or from a physician, those do suffice accordingly, according to the laws that I have said. Unfortunately, it sounds like things have not been completely laid out and clarified, and I would like to have some time for those things to be clarified, as I said before. I totally understand where they're coming from. So if there is something we can do for amendment of this so that it doesn't create such a friction, I totally agree. I am completely 110% open to suggestions and clarifications so those can go to a work successfully as they have been, can continue to go on. This is an additive, not a takeaway. So I wanted to be clarified on the definition as well as that. So Madam President, there needs to be some level of clarification so that SDs can feel comfortable that their board is supporting them at 110% by any means necessary, should they ever feel that the board is not their voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Stanton. Any other board members have any other questions or comment? So the only comment I have at this time is that this was not a bill that was submitted to legislation from the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology. We've been getting a lot of negative feedback, the board has, and this is a bill that was submitted that we tried to save and get back into the board's hand at the 11th hour. I mean, 2023 is coming ahead. I understand, where the estheticians are coming from at this time, but at this time, it's law. You have till October of 2023 to make those changes. And I just recommend that we as a board, we should be able to hear some of these comments and be able to take a good sobering look, because what we are here to do is not, and I don't think it was an intent for anybody to be put out of work.
I'm just curious how NEMA was able to have everything submitted in a web page, and these schools are barely applying for the advanced aesthetics licensure. So obviously someone was fully aware that this was gonna pass.
Madam President, if this is a member of the public, this doesn't have to be presented only for board member discussion as of now.
Okay, it's board member right now, then I'll open it back up in the end. Any other board members that have any other comments or concerns?
Madam President, just one last thing. This is Kai Stanton. Even though it is in law, I just want to say that there is power of amendment and as well as adoption. So there are certain things that we can do, that we can put into place. And it sounds like the public is asking questions. How did something get submitted and the board did not actually submit it? So can we clarify that for them? Or how do you feel that it has already been clarified?
We have the Attorney General, he's on the line.
Thank you.
Can we have some more clarification for the public, AG Harris, please?
Okay, so I just wanted to be clear what exactly, because I do believe that Mr. Landry went through a thorough presentation. So what exactly following the presentation is additional clarification, just for having a purpose of a clear record.
Board Member Stanton, you want to restate that?
The community, the aesthetic community is strongly asking for what was the process of how SB 291 came about. Number two, the question is, what can we do very clearly on what are the actions that can be taken for a list of products that needs to be on the approval, because updates do need to happen. I do agree with that. But the first question is SB 291, they're asking very clearly, how did that bill come about? And was it the board's proposal and submission? That's the exact question. And so I was wondering, are we saying that that answer was clear, or can we give them further clarification on how that bill came about? Because that's the exact question. How did this happen?
Okay, so to clarify, the first part is this was not introduced by the Nevada Board of Cosmetology. The board was introduced by the state legislature as far back as March 2021 and officially signed off on June 2021 and for an effective date of January 1st, 2022. It is also important to note that there has been quite a number of meetings leading back to December 20th, 2020, as well as January 25th, 2021, March 15th, 2021, April 12th, 2021, and April 19th, 2021. It is very clear, as Mr. Landry has already just expressed, that this is not something that the board has come up with, and that this has been in work by our state legislature for quite a while. I do also recommend for licensees that are currently listening on, because there's still a bit of a transition between when the contents of the new bill will become effective into law. I recommend, although the elements of it are attached to the agenda, going on the website www.leg.state.nv.us, you are able to look at the full contents of the bill and under the enrolled version to see not only the entire bill in entirety, but most importantly, the entire process, the amendment process that went in the discussions that the subcommittees had before this bill became effective. But once again, just to clarify, at least just to answer, the presentation that Mr. Landry did give does at least confirm that this was not something introduced by Nevada Cosmo. Now, granted, this board is capable of making regulations, but it's important to differentiate between actual state lawmaking and regulation. So, for example, I believe Board Member Stanley brought up the concerns of amendment that goes into the regulation making. But as far as like creation of laws passed by the state legislature, this board is bound to abide by that. It does not mean that the board introduced that.
I just have one question. I think it's maybe a concern too of multiple board members. I can speak on that behalf, and they can speak as well. At this time, because of the legislation has voted it into law, and I know that law review is coming up and legislation is for 2021. Maybe this is something that the board needs to take a good look to be able to see what possible amendments that we can submit as a board for the legislation of 2021. I do understand, Board Member Stanton, that there is a process, but there's a process that the board could move forward with as well.
Thank you. And that's all I'm asking is for those processes and those avenues to be taken at 110% so that all this information can be clarified accordingly. And once again, yes, that is public knowledge on SB 291 and the full breakdown accordingly, as well as defining what aesthetics govern. addressing things. However, we also want to highlight what they can, as well as how there's other avenues. There shouldn't just be one avenue of achieving the professional goals that they need to utilize to be successful in their field. So I just want to make sure also that those avenues are accompanied, and that's the highlight solution. I know, I think everybody's pretty familiar what they can't do. We need to talk about what we can. Thank you.
Baltazar, you want to go ahead and speak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you've already, I think, Gary, our Deputy AG just now, and yourself have all clarified that, yes, we weren't part of this process. And just like previous bills before, we have not been notified of legislative changes. The board tries to keep track of anything that affects the industry and tries to act accordingly, but legislators do have the ability to just totally bypass the board, though we try to do our due diligence and keep as up to date as possible. And I'm in agreement with board member Stanton. We have the amendment process available to us in order to make changes should we find them necessary. And should that be something that we do look at and want to seriously consider, I would, as always, we invite the public, licensees, schools, any interested party to be part of those meetings and help in the development of regulations, law changes, et cetera. So hopefully that is something that we can seriously consider moving forward. But for the time being, this is what we have, and this is what we have to abide by. And we're just trying to disseminate the information as best as we're able to all those that are affected.
Thank you, Baltazar. I appreciate that.
And one last thing, Madam President, I just want to state really quickly, I apologize for interrupting, is that I keep hearing, we have a meeting, you're more than welcome to attend, but certain things that are highlighted, something as a change like this, should have, there's a mass email that I think that we could have double checked to make sure all of those have gone out, highlighting the estheticians accordingly, or any other group that it may affect directly with, complete and other change, or not even change, just an additive of, I think suggestions were going out prior to regarding all those meetings as well. But I don't think that the outcry of the level of communication from bridge to bridge was so strong, lighting the lighthouse on this information that could have been taking place accordingly. So I just want to say that unfortunately, I think that, I have to say on our end, and not highlighting any other, this area or that area, just because when you're a part of an entity, you want to make sure you still take full accountability to make sure things are successfully done. And I think that the estheticians could have been notified a little bit better prior to meetings, prior to this. So I just don't want to keep highlighting that almost like a salt on the wound, saying, oh, you should have been here, because that's not the proper communication accordingly. So I just want to put that out there. I'm an advocate all the way around. And so I just want to be clear, because I don't want to further add fuel to the fire regarding that communication. I just want to go forward on what we can do to have a positive solution. Thank you.
Okay. McCormick, Board Member McCormick.
Yes, Madam President.
Go right ahead.
Oh, you know what, I echo the sentiments of everyone, and I think that moving forward, the ability to make amendments with the esthetician, speaking of the products that we are using currently, that are currently banned, I think that's a conversation that is overdue, so I agree with that. I definitely look forward to creating a process to figure out maybe just a standard way that we notify every branch of who we represent as we're making changes. Again, this happened very fast. It wasn't our bill. So it's one of those things that I'm glad that we have the amendment process. I'm glad that Director Landry was able to clarify, I think, one of the hot topics, which was the ability for estheticians to still operate under the scope of practice in those areas of microdermabrasion and extractions. I think that was really, really big concern for estheticians, believing that that had been taken away. So I'm glad that that clarifies that. And moving forward, I love all the voices that have come forward. I think the questions are wonderful, and I hope to hear them at the future meetings. And we'll definitely do our part to make sure that they are aware of the meeting specific to this, so they can continue to be involved. So thank you, Madam President. That's, I also would like to say, though, that for those schools and those people interested in teaching this course, there's obviously a need. And as we move further down in really defining what this is, we're going to get those voices to the table as well. But I think that obviously we want there to be an equal opportunity here for people, not just in Southern Nevada, but in all parts of Nevada, to access this education, to get this training completed. And we do want to see it be affordable for those who want to pursue it. So I definitely look forward to having possibly very clear directions posted as well for those interested in offering the trainings. I'd love to see that added to the website for people to understand how they contact the board and what process they might need to take. So all in all, I think that this did clarify a lot of things, and just appears we have definitely still some more work to do, but it's within our means to do that work and make the necessary changes. So that's all from me, Madam President.
Thank you, McCormick. Any other board member have any other question, comments, or concern?
Yeah, okay, Madam President, I just further wanted to highlight instructors. So I think it's very important that the instructors being the support, the actual foundation of just making sure that all licensees across the board are successful in passing the boards and all that amazing things. We also need to make sure that education is opened up, their titles aren't taken away, that they are able to provide certain things accordingly across the board. We need to also make sure that they have the opportunity to have the training that they can teach not just advanced aesthetics, because without the basic aesthetics, there is no advanced aesthetics. So the foundation thrives there alone. So I'm glad that that's also in there as well, regarding the importance of instructors having all of them all together so that they can be successful in their institute or the private educational facilities that they may have as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Stanton. Any other board member, any other questions or concerns? Before we move to, I see some questions here. I guess I can take Director Landry. Do you want to take those questions, or do you want me to take the questions? I think they're questions from the public.
You still want to?
Okay, so I see a couple hands raised. Euphoria.
I'm gonna let Matt go first, and then I will say my thing.
Okay, Lou, your phone is echoing. You're echoing. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Was it Danielle?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
I just wanted to give everyone a name here. There was a meeting the other night that the Carrie Ann Buck, she's a senator, and she had a meeting for the estheticians, and she's moving forward to amend this law and to change things. So I just wanted to give the estheticians out there her name and phone number, because this is kind of being moved forward by Carrie, which I think is amazing that she stepped up to the plate and actually is trying to do something about this bill, or this law, I should say. So if any of you are interested, she's a senator. Her name is Carrie Ann Buck, B-U-C-K. She is in Carson City, Nevada. She was down here in Las Vegas last week for having the meeting.
Madam President.
And my question for you, the cosmetology board is, if you are here for the people to keep them safe, Who is watching these schools to making sure they're teaching us correctly?
Madam President?
Yes.
This is the Deputy Attorney General here. I just want to clarify, there's still an additional opportunity for Mr. Landry to address additional questions following his presentation on the public comment section. As a reminder, the board did move on to the second item on the agenda relating to the 75-hour lasers. So I just want us to keep us on track with that. And I do recommend that Ms. Danielle Nichols hold on to her question and reserve
Okay.
the public comment later portion.
Okay.
I have to interject.
Okay.
Can we at least get that phone number, please?
Well, I think there'll be time just at the end of the meeting. We're just going to get to here and this agenda item number 2, and then it'll be general public comment, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so agenda item number 2, board to vote on whether SB 291, section 45-2 allows for 75 laser training to be completed online and remotely. That's for discussion. Any board members have any discussion before I call for a vote?
Madam President, this is Kai Stanton. I would like to see those hours lowered, and I would also like to see that to be offered in other areas, like an online course. I also would like to see those that have already taken the classes individually, that should be honored.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
I apologize. My suggestion for hours to be lowered, I would like to see that going from either 50 or 65. I'm really concerned about the level of 75. Can we talk about that? If anybody else has any other suggestions regarding that, that would be fine with me. I know that there are several different processes, so every process may not require that much time to learn X, Y, and Z. So I just wanted to clarify that as well. And this is just regarding laser. I just want to be clear, correct?
Well, this is
okay, thank you. So just highlighting laser only. We're just talking about laser hour requirement services. I would like to see that lowered. That encompasses every pretty much from the low to the high, if you will. So we're saying minimum hours required is right? Going for now, if other people want to offer more hours because they have other extended product lines, etc., totally get it. They can offer that accordingly. But if they want to do something online, or if they want to go out of state, or if they want to take something under a physician or an MA or on RN, etc., they have those options to do so.
President Bramo, this is Executive Director Landry. I just wanted to address the lowering of the hours. The law states it's 75 hours and 150 hours if you've learned under a medical doctor. Those are the hours that we have to abide by. We cannot lower the 75 and 150 at this time. In the next legislative session, if you want to bring that up, we can do it at that time. But as of now, for today's world, you must complete 75 hours of training as going through a school or through a service that can certify you, or you have to practice with 150 hours and have a medical professional certify that. Okay. That's what we have to vote on.
So this vote, so if we don't, okay, let's just say we don't vote on this. Say we don't vote on this today, and then we can do a resubmission, or what would your suggestion be as far as amendments moving forward, things, if it doesn't pass today, what is the outcome of that? I should start there.
The vote today would be for allowing the 75 hours to be done online, and that's what we're asking a vote on, whether the board wants to allow that or not. That is what we're asking for. Later on, we can do changes to the law and modifications to the law. That won't come up until 2023 in the next legislative session. It'll be February 2023 when the legislative session starts. So this particular thing that we're asking about is whether the board wants to allow online training to count towards getting these certifications. That would only apply to the grandfathering section. This is section 45 is the only section it would apply to, and it would go out of practice on October 1st, 2023. So that's the only thing we're asking for, is that the 75 hours can be done remotely or online. If the board wants to, we'll allow the estheticians to do it. If the board doesn't want to allow it, we will not allow the estheticians to do it online or remotely.
Okay, so
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah,
okay,
I would
so I
like
just
to
want
do
to
the
make sure,
online.
Board Member Stanton, I just want to make sure that you're clear. So I understand you want to see the hours lowered, but that's something that we have to work through. We got to put it on the agenda, and then we have to move forward and have the workshops, and then we can submit it to legislation for January, for whenever they open up, January 2023. I get that part. So right now, for those that's interested in being grandfathered in, today I'm asking for the board to make a vote if they can have laser training as outlined, remote or laser courses.
I'd like to make a motion to approve online training for laser courses.
Can I get a second?
This is Board Member McCormick. I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so comments from the general public. The board will entertain comments from the general public for any item that is or is not published on the agenda and is related to the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology. No action can be taken on an item unless it's included on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes or less. So I want you, before you make your comments, I want you to understand, for those that's licensed and been licensed and working and serving our wonderful state, that the board is here to listen, to try to move forward, to find a resolution, but to make sure that those that's performing those laser services have the proper certifications is what the intent. So with that being said, we can take some comments.
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, go right ahead. Can you state your first and last name?
This is Tony Lackey again. I agree with Board Member McCormick as far as the peels go and taking a relook at the micro peel situation with that. I would like to make just a suggestion to Mr. Landry that the Board of Cosmetology is not just for the consumer. It is for us, because we have to abide by the rules and regulations, and you guys take money from us for our licensure. So I'd like to just kindly disagree with that. The State Board of Cosmetology is for everybody involved, not just this consumer. So with that, I appreciate what the board is doing. I would like to make those amendments coming up in the following years, because the technology and situations have changed since these laws have been executed. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Madam Chair, Matt Brinton with NEMA.
Good morning, Matt.
Good morning. Thank you for everyone making great comments. I really appreciate a lot of the comments made. I could go through and list, we're just in agreement with a lot of these things. I can address a number of things. I'll just try and go quickly, keep my comments limited. I do want to say regarding to the legislation, we were as collaborative as we could possibly be. We really reached out to, the only way we knew to really reach the students or alumni was through the schools. And so we made efforts to reach out to schools, let them know about the legislation. The legislation that was proposed, the legislation that was actually passed was different than what was proposed. Once legislation gets to the legislature, there are all kinds of changes that are made, a lot of times that we didn't agree with. So what actually came out was different than what we proposed. And I think the more voices get involved, the better it is. So
excuse me.
I think
so NEMA is the one who proposed this bill?
we originally
That's what I see
proposed
on
it,
the
yes.
state legislative site. It says NEMA proposed the bill.
Yes, NEMA proposed the bill. So what I want to say is that the more voices
And
get
are
involved,
you the owner of NEMA?
Sierra, I'm gonna have to mute you. Matt still has 3 minutes on the clock.
Oh, my
Go ahead,
apologies.
Matt.
so I would, and I'll talk with anybody about this anytime. We've had a number of Zoom meetings. I'll set up another Zoom meeting where anybody can come talk with us, collaborate. I think it'd be great if we set up an association for cosmetologists. Other states have it, and it seems to work well to advocate. So we made efforts to communicate with through the schools. I'm not sure how, if the water got to the end of the row there, but once the legislation was at the legislative level, originally appeals were included in the legislation, and appeals were pulled out. That wasn't our doing. It was something that was extracted even in the 75-hour course. Appeals were included in that course, and it was pulled out by various groups of senators who were really listening to the physicians, wanted appeals pulled out of the legislation, and that was something we didn't agree with, but sometimes compromises are made. And that doesn't make sense to us, and hopefully that's something we can amend going into 2023. We would definitely be interested in getting together to make changes that need to be made. The legislative process is difficult, it's fast moving, and a lot of times things just take on a life of their own. So I think, I hope there could be some understanding there that if the legislation isn't what people wanted, it wasn't necessarily what was originally proposed. Some of these changes just happen in the hands of the members of the Assembly and the Senate. And so the comments made about peels, acids, those are amazing comments. We completely agree. We want to work to fix this in the next session. And let me just also say regarding the actual advanced license, this is something where there was a lot of interest at the legislative level years and years before this to regulate this, to require training for these advanced services. And so this was a collaborative effort with a number of members of the Nevada legislature. And the bill passed by a supermajority, which is no small thing. It was a supermajority support on both sides.
They just picked one school, sir. One school.
Exactly.
So I would love to have a Zoom call or an opportunity to meet with people if there's frustration in what's happened. I would rather look forward about what we can do in the future to make changes that need to be made. But I think there's a lot of good comments that have been made. The concept of this, the grandfathering course, the 75-hour course, was to give existing licensees the opportunity to step up to the higher tier license without going through the full program. Hopefully a shorter number of hours and a lower cost. And so
Matt,
that was.
You've reached your 3 minutes, unfortunately, so we will have to move on to the next individual.
Oh, can I just make one quick point about online then? About online, I don't know how we can offer a 75-hour when it involves devices like these advanced aesthetic devices simply online. I think there's got to be a practical element, or again, we're really compromising public safety. If the board's looking out for public safety, I think a portion online for the theory can work, but there's got to be a practical side to this, or really compromising public safety, which is not something the board should be doing.
Thank you for your
Madam
comment,
Chair.
Matt. We'll move on to the next individual.
Yes, I just wanted to make I wanted to make a comment too, Bertha. And I think that comment was what the board voted for. And I think the board voted looking out for those that didn't have the thousands of dollars to actually spend, that there was a lot of good courses that they could take out there that was kind of researched by some of the board members. So, I mean, down the line, we can make the necessary changes, but board members, I would like to make sure that we get something on the agenda that the state board actually this time have a some kind of control over what happens in legislation for 2023. That's all I have to say. The next comment, please.
Yes, my
Madam
name
Chair.
is Chantelli Harless. I am asking, because the advanced aesthetic license requires just to even get it, to do what we are already practicing, we need the advanced aesthetic license to do pills or LED or microcurrent, and some of us have no interest in lasers. Is there a way to separate and have two levels of aesthetic licensing? One that allows the advanced pills, LED and microcurrent, so those of us working in those type of, like the casino, the spa settings, can have the advanced aesthetic license to do our current job, and then one that has lasers for those who are going to practice lasers, because like that would help those of us who can't pay $6,000 to get certified in lasers, in which we never plan on using in our career, but can still get certified in and allowing us to be able to do the pills and the LED and the microcurrent and those other options. Is there a way to have two different levels of aesthetic license, so those of us who are working in spas and not med spas can still obtain without paying $6,000 to do lasers in which we're never going to use?
The board is taking all comments in consideration.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Please say your, Anthony, is this Anthony Latta still?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. I would like to see that we get more than just one school involved. It sounds kind of monopoly-ish that one school made the motion for this law to pass, and one school's on the call with us, and one school's doing it all. So I'd like to see that we maybe invite more schools to gather more information than just the first one that's offered to us. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes, I'd like to comment on that and follow up with what the last gentleman just said. I agree with that because the schools are, all I've heard is NEMA. And then, I went to National Laser Institute and I feel like the other schools are not being addressed. And I feel like it is monopoly on trying to get everybody to go to their school. And I did attend NEMA's grand opening just to see what it was about, because I had a daughter that might want to go on there, and a great school. I'm not knocking the school. I'm just saying everybody should have options, and we shouldn't be stuck on doing just one thing because that's what the board passed or whoever's passing these things. It's not fair to, options are always great for us. And again, it might be cheaper to go to National Laser versus NEMA, even though it's out of state. It just give people options again, because we as the cosmetologists, estheticians, we feel like we are being monopolized into doing one thing, and it's just not right and it's not fair. So that's where I'm at with that. And then to address what was said earlier about them just being governed for the, just for the public and not for us. Well, that's fine. But when he says, if you don't want to get a license, don't get a license, you're kind of pushing people to do illegal things and just open up in their homes and just do what we've been trained to and went to school for and paid thousands and thousands of dollars already going to school. So it's kind of disheartening to hear that, because we should have the state board have our back a little bit on this stuff. Because again, if I don't want to be licensed, great. I just want license and work out of my home. No one's going to govern me. Then you're going to have really health issues and things, people getting hurt out there and doing things that they shouldn't be doing, especially if they didn't even go to school. So it kind of just makes people want to say, forget it. And the state board's going to take the hit, because guess what? Then people won't get their licenses. You guys won't get your money to fund what you need to fund. And then everybody kind of gets it's a cycle. So again, we need to have support from the state board. We need support from the whole issue is just supporting us. But again, saying, well, if you guys don't want to, be licensed, don't be licensed. And, we won't govern. That's not right either. But again, just having options to do things is the way to go. Because I when I look for laser school, it wasn't just one school I went to at the time. NEMA wasn't around. It was in Utah at the time, but it wasn't here. But yeah, I had to go out of state. I did my thing, and that's because I chose to do so. These other estheticians don't have any choice, and that's not right. They should have a choice, because they're not going to use, like I said, in Las Vegas, we are in the casinos and the spas and they don't do laser. You're going to see them for a weekend or a couple days and that's it. They're out of here. They're not going to take time to do a session of things with like laser. It takes more than one session, and you cannot do laser online. It is impossible. I've done it. You have to be in person. You have to be able to touch machines. You have to be able to do practical, and you have to practice on actual people. So there's no way you're going to be able to do it online. Maybe the theory of it, but not the practical. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comment.
Yes. Hi, this is Lou Suarez from Euphoria Institute. Am I still?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. So, a couple things. I'm gonna take myself off because I keep hearing myself backwards. So a couple things to start with, the whole idea of an advanced aesthetic license was intended to raise the level of education for our esthetician community. And so I think in right now it's a little uncharted water, so I think it's a little challenging with all the different things. But if all of these advanced aesthetic procedures are approved, could the board separate the non-ablative and regular procedures into two different tiers? Because that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that there is a need for an advanced license, but maybe at a different tiers. Because I agree, not everybody wants to do laser. Not everybody wants to work under the care of a physician or medical provider. But there are procedures that can be done that don't require that based on the law that was passed. So that's my question is, since it was passed, can we in fact kind of turn it into a couple different tiers, which would satisfy what I'm hearing right now, which is frustration because people that don't want to do lasers are having to do lasers. So I think that might be an easy resolution and something that we can do to adjust, this advanced license. I think at the end of the day, an advanced license is better for the esthetician because it says that she has done extensive training, which then she can then, perhaps have a better income for herself, raise her family, what have you. But I really think that at the end of the day, it is really a good thing. We just have a little bit of choppy waters that we have to maneuver. The board has to maneuver as we go through this process. The second part that I'm a little confused about is regarding instruction. So the instructors can get an advanced aesthetic license without ever having any training. And so that is a concern for me because it doesn't make sense. It just clear and honestly doesn't make sense. So we have instructors that do have laser training and advanced training in all of the microblading, microneedling, all of that stuff. But there are other people that I know of that have been able to acquire an advanced aesthetic license and have absolutely no training on it. So I think that's something that the board needs to look into as well. If we're going to require students or a licensed practitioner to prove that they have had this training, I'm sorry, but I think the same should be done for instructors. I think it's convenient for a school to be able to just apply and get it, but I think at the end of the day, that really hurts the license and it hurts the industry. And, the state board is there to protect the public.
Lou, sorry about that. We had to mute you. Your 3 minutes were up. We'll have to move on to the next individual.
Okay,
Can I go ahead?
Wendy.
Okay, perfect. There's a whole bunch that I could say, and so.
Can you state your first and last name and then just say your 3 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, my name is Wendy Varga, and I'm just going to ask a couple questions because if there's a way that I can get a whole bunch of stuff down and just kind of send it into somebody instead of, because I don't have enough time to share with you a whole bunch. I wanted to kind of follow up with what Lou is saying. I agree that there should be different levels. I have been certified as a nail tech, a massage therapist. I work for one of the most well-known dermatologists in town. So I technically am a medical esthetician. And so that's going to be some issues you're going to have down the road because I actually train doctors on ablative services. So, and I've been doing this for 30 years in and out of different, areas of the beauty industry. It was a family-owned business of ours. Long story short, I just want, there's not enough time for me to kind of ask all the questions.
Wendy, you muted yourself. Can you please unmute yourself and continue?
Yeah. So, I really like the idea of having different tiers because I'm going to be getting into a situation where all that education and all that blood, sweat, and tears that I have done for years, for 15, 18 years throughout 30 of medical, I'm going to be, that's going to hit me hard. And then, there's people that are not even laser certified at all and don't have the kind of education that I have had working with plastic surgeons and doctors and wonderful mentors. And, so that's, and I saw something online that said that you guys were going to be doing, I don't know, and it seems like it's going to be on next week's meeting, so I don't want to get into that, but that there was going to be a master course now too. So I wanted to know if that is true. And then if there's a way I can type out something for you and kind of just give you a broad feeling on my end of, because I'm kind of in the middle. I understand both sides of everything that everybody's, kind of going through. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of, I'm not getting into detail about stuff. I just kind of like, where could I go to get some help,
Okay, well, just keep, checking the website, Wendy, for the meetings and just be more, proactive. And because the board really likes to listen to, during the public comment. It's very important. So I do understand.
Madam Chair, will we be getting notifications of these meetings from now on? Because I just got the one about the survey. So are we going to be all getting those notifications now so that we can stay in tune with this?
Well, I can just make sure the board can relay to staff that if it's an effective change being taken place, that the estheticians or cosmetologists or nail whatever that licensee, license holder profession, that we can possibly our system will send out a massive email, because we really needed the input. But moving forward, in order to.
Madam President?
Yes.
I wanted to clarify, because especially given that we're in the public comment section, as of date, the board is required to abide by, as far as transparency, abiding by open meeting laws. And so the board already has a very informative website of upcoming meetings, including future meetings down the line that current licensees right now, as well as additional members of the public can view to see what upcoming meetings are coming. I'm only just interjecting this because I just want to make sure it doesn't appear that we're involved in new decision making in this section when they currently have a course as to where they can be advised and currently check right now what upcoming meetings are taking place right now.
Okay, so but my question, Attorney AG, is I'm just trying to make sure that we won't have this issue moving forward again, because we already know as a board there will be some amendments coming up. So how will the estheticians be notified?
Well, as far as notifications are concerned, just like any other additional member of the public, the board does do a very good job of currently right now of advising of upcoming meetings and timely posting of upcoming agendas and attaching said exhibits to agenda for early review. So should they have questions or concerns that they want to bring up in upcoming meetings, they're able to do so. I'm only just saying because with the suggestion of public comment and any board member speaking on possible different routes of giving notice, that it can come into concerning territory. So as of right now, as far as this board's requirement for notice, as they do doing right now, abiding by current open meeting laws and publishing the agenda and agenda items in advance, that is currently the current and best recourse as far as notifying licensees and other members of the public of upcoming meetings and what those meetings will entail. So should they have additional questions or concerns, they can bring that up before the board during subsequent meetings.
President Ramos, this is Executive
But
Director.
I do understand, but I'm just a little bit confused because even at the
Thank you.
comment, it's saying that action can or cannot be taken, and they ask a question about how they can be informed. And we don't, as a board member, I can speak for myself that this is kind of disheartening for me to have to be able to try to go back to fix something that the board did not have control over. So they just want to know how they're going to be informed. I don't think that's a hard question.
Madam President, I think that the question needs to be is why did I get this email about the survey when I never got anything from you before? And I think it's, if I'm paying as a licensed esthetician to the State Board of Cosmetology, you guys have my email, and that's called communication. You should be sending me out every month when the meetings are. It's not my responsibility. It is partly, it's both of ours. But I think that just asking when this is all taking place is not an invalid question.
So I think you can direct that question to the board staff. This, I mean, that's what I can say at this time, but it'll be a discussion for later.
President Ramos, Executive Director Landry, we, just as our DAG has stated, we publish all meetings on the website. That's how everyone gets involved with the meetings. The only thing we did different on this meeting is that we had sent out a questionnaire to get comments, put a question and answer section to answer any of the questions beforehand. That was the reason we did that. We don't regularly contact groups of licensees or the public by email because that's outside the scope of the open meeting law. That's targeting a group, inviting them into the meeting. That, I don't want to say it's an ethics violation, but it very well could be if we start inviting specific groups to the meeting and not all groups. We'd have to send emails out to every person in the state of Nevada if we wanted to do that. I don't think we want to.
We're licensed to the state of Nevada, sir, that you should send out a meeting or these emails to us. We're the ones that are licensed.
But let me just say this to you. I do understand what you're saying, but right now, if the Attorney General is saying that it's a violation of the open meeting law, what my recommendation is that our board meetings are posted on the website. And what I would do is I would just look at every, I will check monthly. If that would help, just check monthly and see what's going to be the next meeting and what's on the agenda, and then you know to participate.
And all of our regular scheduled meetings are in January, April, July, and October, the second Monday of the month. That's all any special meetings that come up will be posted, but we have 4 regular meetings. That's January, April, July, and October, second Monday of the month.
Okay. You have that information?
I do. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay.
Madam President, I just wanted to support Matt in the association. I think that is going to be a huge turning point if we can get that together, and it will provide a lot more communication across our aesthetics community. My main question is, will there ever be a motion for the deadline for the grandfathering to be extended?
I'm not sure. We will probably, one of the board members will have to put it on the agenda item, and then we would have to go through and make sure it's for legislation for January of 2023. So I'm sure that there's going to be a motion from one of the board members to put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
President Ramos, I've got one other suggestion for anyone who wants to be informed of the meeting. We do have on our website, nvcosmo.com/board-meeting-information. On there, there's a link that says notify me of upcoming board meetings. You click on that, give us your email, and you'll be notified of every board meeting that we're going to have, whether it applies to your issue or not. That's the only blanket emails that we do. And if someone wants to sign up for that, we're more than willing to have them send the email out as long as they sign up with their email in that particular section of the website.
Thank you, Director Landry. That's what I was looking for. I appreciate that.
No problem. And to get to that, if you go on nvcosmo.com on the home page, it says board meeting information. You click on that, that will take you to board meeting information, that particular web page.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we have a couple
Madam
more
President,
comments.
Madam
Yes.
President, my name is Wada Ali. I'm a nurse practitioner by license. My question is, I agree with all of you. We do need a governing body to take charge of all these equipments that we have out here. It's important to keep the community safe, right? I also think it's important that we have tiers. As a nurse practitioner, I'm not in the cosmetology board. I just got involved because I had to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to stay on top of it, but I don't think other bodies that are not involved with cosmetology, especially MDs, nurse practitioners, PAs, are aware. So there should be a way to communicate with these other bodies too. Also, what else did I want to say? My question is, if you're a nurse or an MA, are they also required to take these courses, even though they were they're certified by other institutes? I would never hire anybody who's not certified and doesn't have any practicum. It's important that they have hands-on experience, but are they also required to get the advanced esthetician is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Director Landry, you want to answer that?
You're not supposed to be answering questions at this point, but I can respond by email to
Okay.
that person. If she'll send an email in, we can respond to her at that time. And we just wanted to say, we can't, this is not a question and answer period, it's a public comment, so we can't answer questions, but we can send responses. If they send a question into the board, we'll respond to their question.
So you can send the email to Director Landry's and he could answer that for you.
I appreciate it.
We do have an advanced aesthetics page on our website that does have a link on there. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us via that link. And then hopefully your questions can be answered on that FAQ page. That's also on the same advanced aesthetics page on our website.
Okay, thank you. This is
Madam
Sanju.
President.
Sorry. Sorry.
One second. We're going to take. Is it SF? Can you state your first and last name, please?
Yes. I'm Sanju Shrestha. I have few questions regarding the peel. So I want to just get some clarification on right now. We can do the glycolic and lactic peel, right? But not the salicylic, even though it is in trace amount as one of the ingredient in the product. Is that correct?
I think what the Director Landry said is just send him an email and let him know the percentage and the products that they're using, and he can give that information. Correct, Director Landry?
That's correct.
Yeah, because most of the products, they do have as a trace amount of those peel, right? For that to work properly, but it is not peeling the skin. So in that case, whether we are allowed to work or it is under our scope of practice or not is my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, just as a reminder, this is a public comment section only. We cannot answer any of your questions. If you do have questions that you would like us to answer, please, again, go to the Advanced Aesthetics page, click on the link, or email us at inspection@nvcosmo.com.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
Madam President, this is Tony. I have one more comment to make.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. That is happening right now as we speak. I don't have to even be an esthetician. I could walk off the street, get hired by a doctor, work lasers, and not have any training except maybe on-the-job training by another laser tech there. The fact that they're using different names to get away with this in the medical community is you're a skincare therapist, not an esthetician. So they're bypassing the state board, our board of cosmetology, by saying that they're a skincare therapist or a laser tech, and they're working under the doctor's malpractice insurance. So that bypasses everything that you guys that we're trying to do here today. So my concern is that loophole going to be closed to where only estheticians and advanced estheticians could be doing lasers, or is that loophole still going to be open? Because this is a moot point for me. If you want me to get the affidavit saying I'm a laser tech, that's fine. I can do that and pay the fees because that's what's generating the money here. Let's follow the money. That's the real question. But I don't have to do that. I could just work under the doctor's malpractice insurance and bypass the State Board of Cosmetology completely. So my question and concern would be, are you closing that loophole? If not, what do you have to do with your aesthetic license to be able to, you have to cancel it to be able to do the other as a MA or somebody hired to do laser under the malpractice of a doctor? Thank you, madam.
Thank you. So you'll be good to follow us with the amendments that the board is intending to execute. So you need to keep a track of our meetings.
Hello, Madam President.
Thank you. I will.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. This is my first meeting. I've never been on a legal Zoom meeting, so sorry about my past interjections. But one of my concerns is I'm currently in an RN program right now.
Can you say your first and last name for the record, please?
Oh, Sierra Wold.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm currently in an RN program right now, and under the impression that NPs can act as primary providers in the state of Nevada. And I know like other nurse practitioners that supervise spas, so they can act as medical spas and do advanced procedures that like they're already doing now. So my question is that if a nurse practitioner can be considered a primary physician in the state of Nevada and like work with women's health, men's health, gynecology, other things like that, family practice, then why is it that only APRNs, which is still a type of nurse, and they get maybe 3 years extra schooling, and a PA, which is a physician's assistant, it's not an actual doctor either, but a DO, which is not a medical director, they study more holistic methods, are considered physicians, and why can't MP be considered as well in that bill if they can be considered primary physicians in the state of Nevada?
Sierra, I can't answer those questions for you, so you need to help participate in our meetings too, okay?
Okay.
Because I mean,
because they listed the law saying APRN, MDDO. So I'm saying why is it that MP is not if they're primary physicians also?
Madam Chair, can I answer that question? I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So APRN is a nurse practitioner. Period.
Yeah.
Whether you're a
so,
family nurse practitioner, whether you're
Madam President, Madam President, this is Zach here. If during this public comment section, just reminding if they have their own individual comments, they can. If there's any questions, they're more permitted to submit it to Mr. Landry as part of the board, but this is supposed to be solely for the public, from members of the public to give their comments, not a question and answer section.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you guys can probably exchange information somehow. I don't know how, but I just recommend that moving forward, that the concerned estheticians, I know it's a lot of licensees out there that's really concerned and that's not interested in laser and X, Y, and Z, is that you check the agenda. I check the agenda and participate in the meetings, be a part of the process.
Madam President, could I say something really quickly? Matt, Brenton, Nima, since we have a forum right here, if you'll just allow me quickly, we would love to collaborate with estheticians. we've tried to work through the schools, and we've got some really good schools that are involved, but getting to the estheticians has been difficult for us. So my email address is mbrinton@nema.edu. Reach out to me. I would love to get an organization going where we hear that so many really good comments have been made by you that I wish we would have got this on the front end for sure of the legislation. So if there's an interest in setting up an organization where we can have a structure to stay dialed into what's happening with the board, I think that makes us all better, all healthier, all more involved, and we get what we want out of these legislative maneuvers. So if you want to email me, I'm happy to kind of spearhead it, put it together. I don't need to be in charge or involved, but I think we do need to have an organization where estheticians, individual estheticians, have a voice, and there's not one right now.
I agree, Matt, and I would be happy to help you with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you, Lou.
Any other comments?
I just want to say that a lot of us appreciate those of you who spoke up for us today on the board. We feel very unheard and a lot of mistrust and distrust about this entire ordeal, and that we just appreciate anybody who, you know, stood up for us today and had our backs and sees that this bill has really hurt us. It's caused us emotional distress, and we have been trying to figure out how we're going to navigate the future and if we should continue. You know, some of us have paid thousands of dollars for our courses and we don't even know how to move about our practice. So it's a really scary time.
Sierra, your phone, your computer was mute.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear
We didn't
me?
hear it all, but.
You didn't hear anything?
Yeah, we heard some.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just saying that, you know, I've been a esthetician since 2016, and well, 2018, but practicing in the beauty world since about 2016. So this has just caused a lot of distress. We spend a lot of money and time into our educations, and I know some have been licensed since longer. So just navigating the future has just been kind of seen, because we don't know what's going to happen and how everything's going to play out when these amendments do occur. So we just, you know, thank you for those who stood up for us today, and just some of those who, you know, may have had a hand in this bill or proposed something. We don't really feel, we don't have a lot of trust right now. And, you know, we just want to navigate this stuff with full transparency and, you know, honesty from here on out, and ethics, you know, ethically as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. You need to be participating in our meeting, so watch the agendas.
Yeah, I didn't know this was all going on until it passed in January, just like many other people. I stay up to date on codes and regulations. You know, I work a lot with other estheticians, so this was news to me, as many other people who I know who are now practicing illegally, which is, you know, according to this new law, a lot of us. So it's very disheartening when we spend a lot of money to get accredited hours and accredited education, and we pay tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah. Thank you.
Well, remember, nothing really changes until October 2023.
Madam President?
Yes.
This is Tony Lacka again. I would like to reiterate, all due respect to your school, sir, but you're the one that put the bill in that started the whole turmoil in my industry. So I would like to reiterate to the board, which has been awesome, by the way, we need more other involvement besides this one school. So that's just my opinion. I think that they have some sort of interest in doing what they're doing. They're the one that submitted the bill in the first place. I would like to see other schools have their say and work with us as well, instead of us putting all our attention to one person, one school that basically started the turmoil. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Can I comment back to Tony real fast? I just wanted to let you know, Tony, I'm really looking forward to collaborating with you and starting this association. I'm not coming to NEMA's defense. I just wanted to let you guys know their intention was to clarify the gray area to make sure that the public was actually getting services that were in fact allocated legally. So a lot has changed from where they began, so just keep that in mind. And I really, again, Tony, I want to play an active role with you, so let's connect.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't mind collaborating. I'm just saying it looks suspicious coming from our end. Think about all the estheticians that are out there. We're all now just honed in from one email we got a couple days ago. So I personally am a very cautious person. It looks very suspicious. It looks like a monopoly. And if it smells like chicken, tastes like chicken, it's chicken. So I'm just saying that we need to collaborate with others that don't have such a valid interest in what they're doing. They put the bill out, and even though it changed, they knew that that could possibly happen. So I just would like to get more involved besides just one person that wants to start an association that's changing the laws, that's causing me grief and misunderstanding and practicing illegally. So like I have to go to my cabinet and clean it out right now before I'm inspected, you know, because now I put my name out there. But I'm just saying, I would like to collaborate. I would like to have more collaboration with other schools besides this one. I mean, we've already heard from him.
Okay.
And that's where we got into this predicament. So I'm just saying it's caused a lot of grief, not just for me, but I hear it through everybody. And it's in our community. We're all talking about it, and we're all really unhappy about it. It's caused a lot of problems. So
Thank you, Tony.
I've heard from the one school. Great. I would like to hear from more. That's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you. But Tony, nobody's, this is not a retaliation situation. This is just a situation where we wanted to be able to clarify we wanted to clarify as a board that, you know, the estheticians needed to hear from the board how this all came about, and the board members are now trying to figure out how we move forward to make the possible amendments for the January's law legislated period. So those that's on this call, just stay abreast and get on the email chain with the Nevada Board of Cosmetology so that you can follow us, you can participate, we can hear your voices, because if we can't hear, we can't really stand up. I mean, this is what I feel that my position here is on the board is health and safety, and to support the licensees in Nevada, all licensees. So, and I feel that I can speak for my colleagues as well. So I think I'm going to end the public comment at this time. Yes, Attorney General.
I was only requesting just to interject that if public comment was going to continue, that for purposes of us keeping track of making sure that everybody has their fair share of 3 minutes, to interjecting with the cross-talking between members of the public, it makes it difficult to track that. So should public comment continue, we just want to give a friendly reminder that of those to not cross-talk with other members, but to just direct their concerns directly to the board.
Okay. So did you want me to take the other comments, or we can end the comments?
It's definitely within the board's discretion if they want to continue on public comments. I do see that there are quite a number of hands raised.
Okay, I think we have like maybe 3 or 4. We can go ahead and take those comments. Is it Kathy?
Yes, Kathy. Kathy Davis Reese. And first of all, I just think that there's a lot of misunderstanding as far as the advanced license. The advanced license is something that has been proposed long before even NEMA had come to the state of Nevada. It is something that is highly supported and something I highly support as far as an advanced license. I do think that there could have been better communication, but I think the interpretation of this is just NEMA and that they are the only school that wanted this is definitely incorrect. I also just want to clarify just a couple of things on the vote that was just taken in regard to the 75 hours of online laser. Just please clarify for me, Gwen. You are saying that they could get anybody who is a current licensed esthetician could take a 75-hour online course without running any lasers at all and be able to get an advanced license? Is that correct?
That's the way it reads. That's the way it was it reads for us. That's the way it read for us to be able to vote. So the whole intent of this vote was today was to make sure that it was, because what the board staff was hearing, as well as the board members, were that it's not affordable for us to be able to, for the estheticians to be able to pay an additional X amount of thousand when they're already performing these particular services, or services that they are not, that's not laser intent. And that's the issue that we can go all day with that one, Kathy, because I think if you have laser, you should have laser license.
So I understand.
But yeah, the board has voted.
If you've already had training for something like that, and you can show that you've already been doing these, or you've already been doing this, but maybe didn't reach the 150 hours and don't have a medical director, I could see taking a 75-hour course in that particular manner. But to just anyone who has not taken laser or who has not been trained in these advanced and does not have any hands-on experience, they can now take a 75-hour course online and be able to get the advanced aesthetics license. I just want to clarify that is what you just approved.
Yeah, well, from what my understanding is that all the online classes has a practical component to it, and the board will be looking at that. But yes, they can now do remote or online training.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thank you, Gwen.
Okay.
This is Lou Suarez from Euphoria Institute, and you can go online and you don't have to have any practical experience, and they'll certify you in laser. There's a lot of companies that are ripping off people under the cloak of a certification. So that's just so y'all know.
Thank you, Luz. Any other comments, Victoria?
Hi, yes. I have been listening to this as much as possible, but I've also had to mute several times as I'm trying to run a business. But again, my name is Victoria Jewell. I am the Executive Director of Operations for a skincare company, Dermodality Skin Solutions. And we have been talking with some of the schools out here in Vegas and would like to possibly discuss being an educator or providing some sort of online service or something. So I was just wondering, can we share this recorded video so that I can rewatch it later with the founders of the company? And also, is there going to be a follow-up email to this? I've heard some people talking about different links and things to go to with information and all that, just so I can follow up, and also names and numbers of the best people to contact to follow up with these questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We'll go on to the next person, Nancy Peppers. Nancy Peppers, if you can unmute yourself and speak for your 3 minutes.
Okay, I think that person is probably walked away from the phone. I have a question, and I think it's for you, Director Landry. Where the board took that vote, the online classes that we're the online / remote laser courses, the online courses that was discussed was the online courses that had some practical. I believe those online courses had practical connected to it. Am I correct?
That is not correct. Some of the online courses are strictly taught online, and that's it. They do everything online. They give you the instruction, they give you all the techniques and all that's all done online. No practical associated with it.
Okay, so with that being said, I can discuss it offline. We can adjourn the meeting. Okay. I mean, we can discuss it offline. So are there any other comments from the general public for discussion only?
We have one more comment from Wendy Varga.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that lasers is kind of a big deal, and um I I mean there's gonna be a lot of I've spent tons and tons of money already, educating, getting more and more educated, but I will tell you that it takes a long time to really know lasers. It's not just something that you can there has to be a practical thing because you could really damage somebody's skin. So I just want to share that with you because it's a lot. There's a lot going on there, and you don't find that out until you get out there in the workforce and you start working with them. So I just wanted to share.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Our next person that it looks like we have a hand up for is Mark DeCola.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I just wanted to open my mouth and say something on the record that I think that it's unfortunate that the board that portrays that they are all for public safety is allowing a 75-hour online course with no practical component to give someone permission to handle equipment that they have no practical experience doing, as well as the grandfathering in of instructors. I'm an instructor. I've never touched a laser before in my life. I can go to the board, pay the fee, and get a license to teach people how to do something that I've never done before in my entire life as a cosmetologist. And I think that it is absolutely absurd that the contradiction of the safety of the public versus what we're allowing people to do with a license. I mean, it just makes no sense whatsoever. I don't understand how you guys operate this way and then claim that you are for the safety of the public. It makes no sense whatsoever. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, for the record, Mark, the board did not have anything to do, the board didn't have anything to do with the instructors being grandfathered in. So that was a legislative issue. So maybe if we be a little bit more proactive in legislation, then we can kind of understand the process. We had no dealings with who got licensed and how they got licensed.
Okay, thank you. But what I'm saying is I can go before the board right now, pay a fee, and get a license to teach people to do something that I've never done before in my entire life. Tell me that that makes sense.
We didn't have anything to do with that. But we can take a look at another agenda item that we talked about, the laser. We can look at that for the next meeting. But right now, I don't know what we can do. What we can do about the instructors, that won't be until March, till January 2023, because it came from legislation.
Okay, but let's talk about the real issue of the online course for people to do something.
Yeah.
Mark,
okay.
This is a public comment section only. We cannot be answering any questions at this time.
I didn't ask for an answer to a question. I just said let's just revisit what we just did, and you guys voted to approve a 75-hour online course for something. Anyone can do this. Any licensee can do it and be permitted to handle lasers. And I don't want a laser put on my skin by someone who took a 75-hour online course. I mean, let's be realistic, guys.
I think the board was more or less looking at it being affordable for people that's already out in the field, that's already working, that's already doing it, so that they would be able to continue to provide for their families. So we can take a look at that. We can revisit that. That's not a problem. The next comment, please?
Hi, my name is Sarah Duran. I spoke earlier. Just, just again, what he's saying here is just, if you guys could vote to have an online course in a matter of seconds, why can't you vote to have tiers for an advanced license that has nothing to do with lasers, but maybe the advanced exfoliation, which is more affordable? So if we're talking about price, that was $2,500 versus this, 75 hours for just pure laser. So it doesn't make any sense. If what you have, say in what you're voting on, it's not making sense at all for the price point. So, the price for the laser class at NEMA is $4,500 as of now. So if you can vote to say, okay, we can do that online because it's more affordable. We're trying to help you guys. Well, why can't you vote to say, we're going to have a different tier and this is going to be affordable too? And you have the option, if you want to be a laser tech, to take the laser training. But that shouldn't be the only thing that is going to give us an option so that we can just practice what we're already practicing, which is LED, microcurrent, and so forth.
Sarah, remember we talked about the board would like to see amendments and the estheticians can participate in that process. We would love to hear from you, but at this time, it's already law. So all we can do is just try to step in to be able to make it where it's affordable, where people can continue to work and take and provide for their families, and this in a safe manner. So if we have to make some amendments the next meeting, we make the amendments. We're trying to do the best that we can. This is what's not given. This was thrown in our lap at the 11th hour. And nobody seems to understand that. It's like beat up on the board and it's okay, and it's not.
Excuse me, sir, I just had a quick comment. We don't want you guys to feel beat up, but you know, it's just like you said, us providing for our families. And I just want to note that 75 hours, a $6,000 course is really costly. My education was 600 hours for $10,000. So the hours and the dollar configuration and my everything I got in its totality was my entire aesthetics education. So it's hard to believe that a $75 course, 75-hour course should be $6,000. And it's, you know, saying that, well, we want you guys to be able to keep working and provide for your families, when if you're making maybe, you know, $20 to $30 an hour, that's still less than over $4,000 a month take home. You know, so when you're doing the math, it's not mathing, and we can't get financial aid for this because it's under 300 hours. So you're essentially asking, you know, all these women who, you know, if they pay a suite rent, not only do we have to pay $1,600 or maybe, you know, $1,000 for our rental, but now I got to pay for this school and pay for my family, pay for gas that we all know is going up crazy. Our product and our supplies have gone up. And now we're being told, hey, soon that some of these supplies we use, we can't use it anymore. So that means we have to buy brand new supplies. No one else. There's a lot of different things going on with, you know, finances here. So it's like, if we're looking at, oh, let's make sure these people can help pay for their family after a pandemic hit. Some of us lost our houses. Some of us lost our cars. We're still recovering from loss of revenue when we were not even allowed to work. We were closed for months. There's many businesses that didn't make it through this time. So it's just, you know, if we really do care about us being able to provide for our families, we wouldn't be basically getting extorted and being told, hey, you have 2 years to go back and do this. I'm a full-time student. So the time that I have to do this, I will be in nursing school full-time. How is it fair to make a student be a student again and have to run a business and have to work a part-time job? That's not fair.
Sierra, we didn't make the law.
I know you didn't make the law.
We're trying to amend what we can amend to make it to do the best that we can as a board, but we didn't, it wasn't our bill, it wasn't our law.
I agree. I know.
We have to abide by it. So we're trying to work through and understand. We're hearing you. All the board members are hearing the estheticians. We've been reading it, we've been listening, we've been hearing you. So we're just trying to do it where it's going to be the intent today. And the reason why that this was put on the agenda to allow them to take /remote courses. Maybe we can change it next meeting to remote courses, but we're just trying to make it where it's going to be okay for everybody at this time until the amendments can be taking place in January moving forward. That's all that we can do.
I understand. I just wanted to let you guys know.
Sierra, if you can give us just a second.
Madam President, this is just the deck here. I just wanted to also reflect that we're keeping track of each individual commenter's time just to make sure that they have a fair share to speak at least within 3 minutes. We just ask that their time when they're speaking just to remain uninterrupted so that it's on the record.
Okay. All right. So Nancy?
Can you hear me, Madam President?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Sorry, just a second, Gwen. Was it Sierra?
It was Sierra.
Sierra, were you finished with your public comment? I see that you still have 45 seconds to go.
Okay, go ahead and finish, Sierra.
Okay, so So when it comes to whether it's about our livelihood, and a lot of estheticians that I know GlyMed is through NEMA and they're accredited school, they're telling us that our certifications through them is not even considered accredited, and GlyMed has salicylic in their products also. So I just want to say that a lot of our education is being thrown out. Thousands and thousands of dollars we have spent with these new rules and regulations that we are trained on, that we've been in for years. So I just want that to be taken into consideration, that the hours, the time that we have to give up, and the amount of hours does not correlate really financially. It doesn't make sense, the financial numbers, and definitely should be made more affordable, considering a lot of these girls spend thousands of dollars already every single month in expenses. So we don't want to take from our bottom lines and our estheticians, because they keep all of us beautiful. So
thank you, Sierra, for your comment.
Thank you.
We're gonna ask the public to, if you do have questions, please raise your hand so that we can make sure that everyone who has a question or everyone that has a comment, is given the 3 minutes to speak. If you're interrupting or interjecting without being called upon, we are going to mute you. So just for the record, we're going to go on to the next individual with their hand up, which is Nancy Peppers. Nancy, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I would like to let everyone know Carrie Ann Bucks, which is the senator, her phone number, which is 702-592-9470. Please call her and join in our meetings, and we can all hopefully get this settled in a timely manner, which is not putting me as a body contourist and esthetician out of business. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Can we repeat the number, please?
The phone number is
Yes,
702-592-9470.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Karen. We have Karen from.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Karen Pacheco. I just wanted to add a little bit onto what Sierra mentioned as far as her program of 600 hours. There were some of us who actually went to school at the time that there was a 900-hour program. And in order to grandfather in, now we have to add another 75 hours, which is a total of 975 hours that we would have to complete in order for us to be an advanced esthetician. So I just really wanted to express concern over that, because then it makes you wonder, in a couple years, is the program going to change again? In another few years, is the program going to change again, to where we have to go back to school and have to go back to school in order to do this?
Thank you for your comment. Do we have any other comments before we close out the comment section? Any comments from any of the board members?
I have a comment, if I may.
Go right ahead.
So my name is
hand up right now. Sorry,
Sorry?
can you give us just a second? It looks like we
sorry.
have somebody with their hand up. Is it Dennis Nemeth?
Hi, it's Chris Nemeth again. That's just what it says on the screen. Chris Nemeth. With my limited time, I just want to ask a couple questions, and if they can be rhetorical, that's fine. I know you're not supposed to answer questions during this section. I just want to know overall on this is, what is the problem statement? Usually you start with, like, what problem are we trying to solve? And I feel like this whole couple hours has been like, it's what's been jammed down our throats. It's the law. I think those are kind of cop-outs, and not on the board, but just in general. And I do plan to contact Senator Buck. Also, for reference of those on here, I'd recommend contacting Senator Cortez Masto. We're their constituents too, not just customers. So I will reach out to them with a pointed email on the lack of transparency and what is the problem that we're trying to solve. And then if you want to answer the question, great. If you don't, that's great too. But what forum do we participate in? Because I'm hearing here, like, we're not going to answer questions. And I thought this was the forum that we do participate. So I would love to participate Madam President, in whatever the amendment process is to this law that's been passed. I want to participate in it, but I'm hearing on this forum and I'm on your website. Where do I participate in it? And I'll be there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, what happens is once it's posted, board member will make a motion for it to go on the agenda. And once it's on the agenda, it'll be posted on the state board's website, should be on the next, we would try to get it, if not this agenda, we'll get it on an agenda. And at that time, you would be noted, you can look on the website, because we can't notify you unless you sign up to be notified to participate in the process, because we want the senators to know that the board is being proactive in this, trying to help with the resolution as well. So we don't want our senators, because it's our senators as well. So we want them to know that we are doing the best that we can possibly do at this time, but moving forward, we would like to work with them and to make the amendments that need to be made.
Madam President, just as a friendly reminder, just because we don't want the record to reflect that some people's questions are answered tonight.
Okay.
So we're leaving it solely for public comment.
Right. Okay.
We'll go to the next individual. Sarit, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Sarit Shoshani. I'm a licensed esthetician. So just a comment / question. So I just want to be cleared on how am I going to proceed from now? Because I see online that NEMA offers an advanced aesthetic 75 hours. So let's say I sign up for that. They have a training starting on April. Let's say I've done that. I get the grandfather in, I get the advanced aesthetic license. And then who's promising me that in another month or 2 or 3 or 6 months, there is not going to be something new? So I just want to be clear, like, what is my next step?
Thank you for your comments, Sarit. We'll go on to the next individual if there is one. I don't see any hands raised at the moment.
Any board members have any comments? Because we don't have a board member comment section today. So if you have any comments as board members, go right ahead, Baltazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is just a general comment. I know the legislative process is confusing. I know that it's frustrating. It's impacted all of you in a way that I can't personally imagine, because I'm the public member that is not a licensed individual. So, I don't know what it feels like to have your livelihoods threatened. But at the same time, we can't guarantee that changes are not going to come down the pipeline, because a lot of this is out of our control. Changes happen without us being notified, without us being part of the process. So this is what we're dealing with in the now. I encourage everyone to become involved in the legislative process, because that exists outside of this board. We certainly do our best in order to keep everyone up to date within the parameters of the laws that we have to abide by. So please understand also that we have certain things that we have to abide by, certain laws that we must adhere to. But we do our best in order to keep everyone as informed as we possibly can on important matters.
I'm almost done. Thank you so much, Baltazar, for your comment. Any other board members have any other comments?
Madam President, this is Kai Stanton.
Go right ahead.
One, I would strongly like to put SB 2921 amendment for the next meeting on the agenda. I think it's important that, like I said, once again, to have that done. I try to adjust things accordingly, but as was stated by executive, that we cannot make those adjustments right now. I know those that have taken some classes, and I think I've heard this a couple of times, why online? I think a lot of people are trying to move online. They've even strongly suggested a whole school with chemical to be done online. So I think that a lot of people have taken some of these classes online, and for those that have already have had the training accordingly, I don't want to belittle or say whose education is higher from who, but those that have had the requirements met, period, you are already currently under a doctor or an RN, that should be grandfathered in. So we need to take a really close look at that and make sure that the extended for the agenda, I would also like to put on the meeting for the meeting next minute to be grandfathered in for an extension for that. So certain changes can be made accordingly as suggested a while ago as well. My other thing is, just to clarify for doctor and an RN, I just want to clarify, we need to talk about that as well. They should not have to be licensed for that. From my understanding, this was just a second avenue. If you are not currently teaching certain requirements, if you are not under a doctor, if you are not currently working with an RN, this was another avenue, just another avenue to receive this license. This is not just a one avenue license, as been reiterated by several that have been said. So those that need to be supported regarding the doctors that are in as is should be left as well, just so that they can continue to work accordingly in their offices. My last thing is, I would also like to see in the future a state board meeting process for the public. Almost like we can talk about the process of state board, how to maneuver, how to petition the board, how to maybe have their own proposals or proper changes that will be effective across the board as well. So I would love to see that open and available, if not a video or something that will help people with proper Q&A. That is frustrating when you come to a meeting and you're looking for solutions and you bring a proposal to the table that can't be heard. How can that be done accordingly? So that information needs to be out there too. What is the time frame for a Q&A? When I'm making, or I should say public is making a statement, when can they actually have that one-on-one conversation with the board and have their questions answered, not just in comments? So that information needs to be out there also. Pure education, updating or adding to more information that's easily navigated. Talking about other avenues of communication as well, I would like to see that. There's a lot of things that I would like to attack, and making sure that that's given to the public accordingly. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Board Member Stanton. Board Member McCormick.
Madam President, to reiterate what so many have said, I want to find out what the process would be now that we have voted on the 75 hours. I do apologize that I believe I just believed that the 75-hour online courses were something that were going to already be like a vetted course, not just any course under the sun anyone wanted to do. I thought that we would or had already maybe set like a criteria. So I would like to know how it is possible to, yes, allow the online portion, but I do believe that we need to have a criteria that clearly outlines how much of this can be online, because I do believe that there's a hands-on portion that should be necessary.
Absolutely.
So I agree with and echo the sentiments. And so my vote, my seconding of Board Member Stanton's motion, I definitely do think that we still need to either put it on next agenda, but we do need to clarify exactly what portion of that online training can be remote or just online. But I would still like that online portion to be possible, because it is true. We do have a lot of online courses. We do want them to be credible though. And we do know that people need hands-on time. I wanted to respond to Luce regarding the instructor hours. I'd also like to echo the sentiments that I believe that a criteria should be established, or a certain education standard should be established for instructors who want to get the license, the advanced aesthetic license. in response to so many comments. I understand the nature of, the instructors being able to do it, but I would like to see us establish a criteria of education or a standard of education for that. And I'm not sure if that is something I should ask to be added to the agenda. So I'll lead to your direction on that one. As far as I want to respond to Wendy Varga when she spoke of the different.
Madam President, I just have to clarify again, this is just your board comment section. And so any individual responding to particular licensees is not what this section is for. It's just giving your concerns or your comments, particularly related to, I believe it's Ms. McCormick that speaks. Yeah.
Totally understand. And
so any concerns that you might have based on what you hear is one thing, but
right.
particularly responding is where it's a little bit.
Okay, I understand. So I'd like to respond to the comments that have been made, or just I'd like to give my opinion on the different levels, being able to branch that off into different levels of aesthetics or this advanced license when it comes to people wanting to be able to still use their LED machines and some of those other equipments that they are currently using without going into full lasers. I do believe that during the amendment process, we should take a close look at what can be put back under the heading of basic aesthetics, as opposed to maybe creating steps. So I would love direction on if that's an agenda item that we need to add, to take a look at what amendments or what list of amendments we can have available to the public so they know what amendments we are working on, because there are a lot of suggestions for amendments. And I think that it would be helpful for the public to know what amendments we already have agreed to as we kind of move through the process of making them. I also would like to see an extension placed on the grandfathering clause. So with that said, that's all of my comments.
Thank you, McCormick. Director Landry, I would like to see for the next board meeting, I would like to have staff to I can discuss it after, but can we go back and put the vote on whether the online and remote training courses can be, so that we can maybe add to maybe making sure that they're accredited and a certain amount is online and a certain amount is done practically. Can we get that on the April's agenda, please?
We can put it on the agenda for discussion in.
Yes, for discussion of possible action.
I just want to let you know, between now and that meeting, anyone who comes with an online only course will be approved to take that course. And if they take it and finish it before you do anything with the vote, that will be allowed. So there may be one or two people that come in and do the online only, but then you can correct that and put something in place to have the practical aspect, have some hands-on with it also.
So in order to reverse it, what has to happen?
It has to be on the agenda, it has to be noticed for 3 days, and then you have to have a part of the meeting. I don't think we can get anything quicker than the April meeting. It's only 2 weeks away.
Okay. I mean, I couldn't, well, we have already called several special meetings. Okay, well, I can talk to you about it afterwards, but I would like to see that placed on the agenda, because I think it was a little bit miscommunication, because I was under the impression that the laser courses have a practical to it online, but that's okay. We can fix that. How can we put hold on, Baltazar, 1 second. How can we put the other information that board member Stanton and McCormick, how can we fit any of that additional information on the next board meeting as well?
We'll put those items on as discussion items on the next agenda.
Okay.
So no big deal to put it on. We're gonna have to look at the amount of petitions we have
I know we have a big meeting already, but.
We may have to shift some of those to the next meeting.
Okay.
We'll get whatever the board thinks is the most important topics, we'll make sure that's on the next board meeting.
Okay, board members, can you send Director Landry an email with the most important topics, and then we can work together and get it on the next April agenda. Okay, board members, I got two more, one from Baltazar and then Stanton.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I was assuming that the only way that we can maybe correct what was just voted on was to retroactively vote on it again. Is that an option on the table?
I would just like to re-vote on it again and put it on the next month's agenda. Could we do that, Attorney General?
It's definitely within the board discretion to put it on,
Yeah.
as another agenda item.
Okay.
And then it also would allow for a clear record as well.
Okay. Okay, we want to go back and let the record reflect. We want to go back and revote. And then we'll put it back on the agenda for the type of approval classes. And I'll work with Director Landry. We can work with him, boards, with that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, one more before I call it. Stanton, Board Member Stanton.
Yes, I apologize. I also wanted to talk about to update services for the estheticians regarding things that can be purchased online. I wanted to discuss this a while ago, updating some of the products that can be utilized, such as some of the assets that you can purchase from Walmart or CVS, or the various updates that we need to talk about as well. And then I just wanted to make a just a basic comment in general that I encourage everyone to come to the meeting on their own. I know it's really nice to have someone to be an advocate for you, but there's nothing like being an advocate for yourself for your license. And I think it's extremely important that you be a voice for yourself. And I also further think it's important that you know exactly what's going on, so nothing is related in a manner that maybe it was misunderstood, or maybe it's interpreted the way someone else understands it, which is fine. But I really think that as your own license holder, you have access directly to the same individuals that everyone else has an avenue to, as well as to boards, as well as to information online with state. So I just want to encourage those to do that. And if there's any further information that staff is willing to give those that are wanting that information, that have it. So I just wanted to say that it's extremely important that you know, be an advocate for yourself, come to the meetings, and your voice is just as loud as anyone else's. Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome. Board Member McCormick, before I call for a revote.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a comment?
No, I don't. I think I was hitting all sorts of emojis, but I'm done over here. So.
Oh, okay. I see no rules.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
good.
You. Do
okay,
I need a motion to rescind this previous vote?
Well, I'm going to make a motion to rescind, but I also, so Director Landry or Attorney General, you can help me with this. I want to make a motion to rescind it, but I also want to make a motion to put it back on the agenda for April.
Well, Madam President, it's also important to outline that what has been noticed on the current agenda was a past vote that's already been done, and we're currently in the comment section. As you have previously discussed, mentioning the creation of further agenda items, I think at this juncture that would be more appropriate.
Right, but I want to rescind that motion.
I'm not too sure I understand what you by rescinding.
Director Landry, can you explain that, please?
My understanding is you can't rescind the vote that you took, especially when you moved out of the session into the comment. You can't go back into the meeting to change your vote. The only way to do it is to put that on the next agenda. Then you can make any changes you want. There would be a 3-week period that we'd have people doing things that may not be what you want to have happen. But that's the extent of it. You can't undo a vote you've done once you moved out of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, so
I'm sorry, I was gonna say, Madam President, is it possible that, do you need one of us to say, I don't mind adding that to the meeting minutes for the next meeting to have that revote put on there?
Yes.
It's already reflected in, it's already reflected.
Okay, it's already reflected.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Okay, we just have one other comment, then we'll take the last comment, and then we'll adjourn our meeting after that. Go right ahead, Nancy.
Yes, ma'am. I just had a statement to say about all the machines that we use, the implements that we use. We're trained by the companies that we buy them from. Also, like the hydrofacial machines, there's knockoff ones. We're not obligated to use exactly what they say that goes in those machines. So like for the hydrofacial, there are 3 serums that go in that, but we have the choice to put in what we want unless you buy the hydrofacial and under their branding. Would it be, I know I'm not supposed to ask questions. Could it be possible that we use our own products in place of the salicylic acid? And I would like to hopefully revisit all the machines. Like I do body contouring. I use the ultrasonic cavitation. That is my entire business. In October, I got my business license to be a body contourist. Even though I am a licensed esthetician, all my business is based on, I will lose my business if I cannot do body contouring. So please, under medical, that's ridiculous. We didn't even need anything, didn't even need an esthetician license to do anything. Although I do think you do need an esthetician license for that. All I'm saying is please don't stick that under medical. I don't want to lose my entire business. And I'm not even going to be able to pay my student loan off until after I pass retirement. So please think about us, think about our livelihoods and all the machines and implements and products that us older estheticians have, because the older you get and the longer you're in the business, the more you have. I'm not going to be able to use this unless I'm under a doctor. And I just left the medical field because of that reason. So please take that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Madam
so
President?
I think, yes.
Madam President, this is Tony Lacka. I just have one comment to the board and to you. I wanted to say thank you. I feel like you guys have our back and that you're concerned, and that's all we can ask at this point. I'd like you to just remember that you guys do have in your hands our livelihood. So I think that with the current board members and what I've heard, I'm very happy, and I will be joining the monthly meetings. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for your participation with today's meeting and moving forward. The board is here to do what we've been appointed to do. So I can speak that for all of my colleague and board members. And thank you, staff, for all the hard work and all the calls and all the extra that you've been hearing. It's a lot. It really is. But we have this revote on the table, so you guys we can kind of calm down a little bit. We were looking at something different, but we can fix some things too. I would like to make sure that that's on the agenda for the April's meeting, and I would like to call for this meeting to be adjourned.
Madam President, this is Kai Stanton. I would like to make a motion for this meeting to be adjourned on 3/14/2022 at 12:22. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Okay. This is Board Member Harris. I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You.